Welcome to the living room, everybody. How's the Sanctuary family doing? It's our friends and family. How's the Sanctuary telling you the blessed is amazing spirit. What a special thing to so as always, we need everybody that's in the living room to love off and share this experience and let it bless somebody else to you. All those that are in the living room for the first time, share it. Website, click that subscribe button to the YouTube page. And also the deep, we got to get it all in and excited about the endless that is lined up for you. We're going to be blessed by some amazing grace. First of all, yes, anointed singer, anointed voice, and just amazing when she talks and just lifts up and inspires everyone from Far Rockaway, New York. Tanya Lawrence, get in here in the living room, sis. What's going on?
There she is.
Hey y'all,
How you
I'm
doing?
here. I'm back. Hi. I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome.
Good to see you. I hope you had a great day, and we love you.
Love
Appreciate
you.
you. Thank you for always sharing with the sanctuary and what we're all about. We are appreciative of this your gift and everything that you always are willing to share with us, and we love
Thank
you for that.
Love you. Thank you for having
Glad
me.
that you're on in the living room tonight. Next is a longtime brother and friend who I've known mostly all my life and shared together in ministry. He is a full-time evangelist, just an amazing Christian, a father, and just a cool guy. Just a cool dude just to be around if you get to know him a little bit. And we're glad that he's back in the living room. He blessed us last year, but we needed to invite him back. Lawami Diaz from Indiana. Come on, bro.
There he is.
What's going on? You on? We can't hear you.
My bad.
Ah, you good? You good?
I
What's
am
going on,
so
bro?
excited to be here, man.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
for having me again.
Man, we're
Appreciate it.
excited, man. We're glad that you're back, man. I hope you're doing well. And last but
Yes,
not
sir.
least, we are blessed to have an amazing couple. Man, I was looking at some of their videos on YouTube, and you got to follow these guys, man. They go by the hashtag stuff from the cups, and lots of amazing talks, man. And I love their energy, love their
Absolutely.
personality. They're gonna bless us. Come on into the living room, all the way from the island of Jamaica.
J.
Come on, y'all. Brian and Priscilla Barnaby Cup. We're so glad to have you guys. Thank you for
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
how you guys doing.
We're good.
We're good. We're warm. I know.
Right. We
I
weren't
know
gonna
you can't say the same. But we're
right.
good.
Big up JA. We know we weren't gonna ask you how's the weather like down there. We already know. So
Yes.
thank you for letting us know. Hey guys, we're so excited to have you guys in the living room. I'm Pastor Omar. This is my beautiful bride, First Lady Lisa, and we're gonna just talk like we're together in the living room in person. But thank God for this platform and all our audience. Let's get ready. Let's get engaged to what God is going to impart to us all through these conversations and these questions. So, question number one, we're just going to throw it out there, and let's see what the Lord does tonight. All right. Question number one is this: my husband and I are having a difficult time in our marriage. We started out as friends with benefits, but later on decided to truly take a chance and be with each other. We've been married for a while now, but to me, we still feel like friends with benefits. We wasted the getting to know you deeply stage, and now we are both suffering emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. How do we start over, or should we just call it quits? Our foundation was shaky. Maybe we made a mistake. So let that question sink in for a little bit because I wanted to remind everyone that tonight's topic is relationship rules. We're talking about relationship rules. Is love a choice or a feeling? So we are talking about expectations versus reality, how to figure out what works. So that's question number one. panelists.
I do want to say one thing before you guys get started. This question has been echoed in a few other questions that have been submitted. One person came straight out and said, "What if I married the wrong person?" So we're going to take the time to answer this question, but keeping in mind that there are a few others that have had questions along the same lines of feeling like they're in the marriage with the wrong person.
So,
what you think?
First question was big. Who's got it?
Okay, so I guess we'll start. So, we've heard from other couples and we've heard from persons, who have just expressed the fact that maybe, because things didn't start right, they can't end right, or it can't be fixed. Something that we have really practiced in our marriage. And if we were to just go by how we felt, I don't think that Brian and I would still be married, because we had a very rough patch after we got married. We were living apart for 3 years because of our job, and a baby was in play. This was year one into our marriage. So for 3 years, 1 year after we got married, we were living apart. And that caused a huge strain on our marriage. And even though the circumstances may be different for this individual, I think that sometimes maybe it is a case where we need to be deliberate, and this is a word that we use very often on our YouTube page, deliberate about what we do to make our marriage work. Not just rely on how we feel, but take the necessary steps to see if it's something that can be fixed, if it's something that can be resolved. And a lot of times that takes getting a third party involved in the form of professional help. That is something that we're very big on, especially when we feel like we can't navigate it ourselves, especially when if we rely on our own feelings, we feel like, all right, we're just going to throw in the towel. My suggestion would be to get professional help off the bat, get professional help. I know sometimes we may feel like if it started out a little rocky, then maybe the ship is broken and it's going to sink. But I do believe that if it is a case where they feel like maybe the extra help is needed, I would suggest that they get the extra help. Get the extra help in the form of counseling, and don't just rely on how you feel. Because I tell you, in this thing called marriage, since we've been married for 8 years, and a lot of times we have come to the conclusion that the feelings alone will betray us. The feelings of doubt, the feelings of, I can't be bothered, the feelings of, is this what I want to be in, the feeling of, all right, I'm ready to give up, they can literally betray us. So I think the first step for us would be to get professional help.
And for me, I just sum it up by saying, we spent our money, bought a huge piece of land, built on it. We have a nice mansion looking over the Caribbean Sea, and we feel so good. But then, we start seeing some holes appearing, some cracks in the wall. Yeah, there are going to be times when I'm wondering, all right, maybe I shouldn't have done it this way. Maybe I need to get a new house. But if I've invested so much in it and I know that God is in it, it can be fixed.
I love it.
All right.
It's good stuff. That's a
Absolutely.
full answer. I like that. Awesome. Babe, you want to get number 2?
All right. Number 2.
This is a big one, y'all.
Which one? This one?
Go for
Want me
it.
to start?
Yeah.
All right. My spouse is a workaholic. I get what's left of the time. Between sleep and work, I feel completely alone, and that's not what I signed up for. Okay. We know each other. We don't really know each other anymore. What should we do?
Boy, y'all quiet tonight.
Man, I just feel like the marriage questions should go to the married people. I'm waiting on the single folk question.
Sound like we bounced the ball to you, Tanya. Workaholic. Come on.
I still think you can answer some of these questions, Lo.
Yeah, I think so
I
too.
agree too. I was
I
gonna say
100% think so too.
Absolutely.
Um, he's a workaholic.
So
Did he not?
workaholic, I get what's left of the time
Yeah.
between sleep and work. I feel completely alone, and that's not what I signed up for. We don't know each other anymore. What should we do?
Did you know this before you got married that he was a workaholic? That would be my question.
Yeah.
Like, um, did he not show you signs of being a workaholic? Did you say, "Oh my God, no, he's so ambitious. Oh my God, he's gonna go so far," and you ignored the fact that he works a lot?
Well, at the end, it does say we don't know each other anymore. So I guess that's implying that there was a time where we
you thought
knew.
you knew.
Yeah,
But there is so much because you're saying we don't know each other anymore.
yeah,
I don't know if that has to do a lot with being a workaholic because we evolve anyway.
yep,
So after years, you're still not going to know who this you're always going to learn a new version of your spouse. You're always going to learn an evolved version of your spouse. So yeah, you may not know who he is. And I don't know if you don't know. You probably need to be reintroduced to who he is, but you need to communicate this too, though. If you feel like you're being neglected, I think communication is key in all relationships. If you feel neglected,
yep,
you need to open your mouth and say something. Uh, uh, Marriage is worth fighting for, right? And you're going to pull out all stops to make sure that you've tried it all. And if you don't say something, you haven't tried.
no,
Because how can it be fixed if you don't say something?
yeah. Silence is the
But
ultimate killer. I definitely agree with that.
but I want to know though, like, did you not see this? And I hope we get into this a little deeper because
Yeah,
I think we sometimes, love can sometimes cover some things
absolutely.
that you really should have seen before you got married because it's not going to change. Please believe me. If he was a workaholic before you got married, it wasn't going to change when he got married. Things
Right.
don't necessarily get better. It either stays the same, it could get worse, but I just want to know if you didn't see the signs.
So the question is, what should we do? If there's anything to do,
Yeah.
what should we do? How do we move forward from where we are now?
You have to communicate it. You have to
Communicate.
communicate.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. That's
I
all I
would
need.
agree that communication is key. There, you gain nothing by going back and saying. I think this advice here is great for single people who are looking to get married now.
Right.
Check the signs, make sure. But for the married couple themselves, it's probably of no use because they can't. I mean, what does it matter to go back to the past? What I would tell someone, what I would tell a married couple who's experiencing this is to be careful not to put all of your happiness eggs in the basket of marriage. Because once you do that, you're looking for marriage to give you what only God can give you. And that is a fulfillment, a happiness, a joy. When you have joy, the joy of the Lord, when you have joy, you can have joy like Paul in the Philippian jail cell, speaking to the Philippian church, going, hey, rejoice in the Lord always. When you have that kind of joy, it doesn't matter what jail you find yourself in, what marriage you find yourself in. It is a fruit of the Spirit. The fruit of the Spirit is love. And then the very second one is joy. And so when you find your joy in the Lord, um, I mean, ideally, we would like all earthly institutions to be ideal and
Right.
to find happiness and stuff. But man, things happen. Marriages are going to be whacked. Children are going to be whacked. Families are going to split up. Your church family is going to split. I mean, things are going to happen. You've got to find your joy in the Lord. And when you find your joy in the Lord, communicate this with your husband, but you're not responsible for him. You're not responsible for her. And they're not responsible for your joy. You've got to find your joy in the Lord and do your work. find you do your part as fulfilling your duty to God and finding your joy in the Lord, and that takes care of itself. But that's just my opinion on that.
So
As
then
kind,
what? So then what do you do?
as kind of,
Communicate it.
I agree with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you on that. You
Yeah,
Yeah.
have to
definitely.
communicate.
You
That
have to
I definitely
communicate it.
agree with you on.
Sorry, go ahead,
Mm.
Mr. Cuff. I apologize.
No, that's fine. I agree with you totally. But for me, I think we need to get into it some more as well, because I want to know, is he just becoming a workaholic? If he is, maybe there's something he's trying to immerse himself into because of something else. So I would really love if the person is watching, if they could shed some more light. But
Higgins, sir.
the other part is as it relates to the being a workaholic. I know that if the person is now going to focus on getting the person to stop being a workaholic, that can be problematic in itself. Because as mentioned earlier, for us, when I was working in Kingston, she was displeased about it because we were apart and she was raising the kids by herself. And she at times made me feel so bad that I got up in anger and I said, I'm going to leave the work and I'm going to come and stay home with you. And if I did, we wouldn't be where we are today. So she has to be careful also that she doesn't make him feel too bad that he does not continue what he's doing to be home with her and then he's miserable. He has to find in himself, right, the point that he realizes that I need to fix this for us. Because if he just gets up because out of anger and out of how she's making him feel, it's going to be problematic. So I'd love for him to realize, hey, this is causing a problem in my relationship. This is causing a problem in my life, and I need to fix it. Because if he fixes it because of what she says and not because of how he feels, it's going to be more problematic.
And I'll just add, when Laomi, that's your name, Naomi, dad, Laomi,
Mhm.
okay, got it right. When he was saying, to just find your joy in the Lord. I mean, we hear this in church all the time, and it's easier said than done. Because I'll find my joy in the Lord. Hallelujah, Shantalama, amen.
Wow.
Shantala.
But my marriage is also my ministry. So if that is not intact, I don't know how to translate that happiness into my everyday existence. Meaning, I remember when we were going through our rough patch, I literally used to just, I was on radio at the time, radio ministry, and I used to just put on the bravest face that I could find. But
Yep.
in my heart, I was still sad because I knew that my marriage, which for me is my first ministry, my marriage was not intact. So, sometimes I'm careful when, preachers and persons in church just say to people, just pray about it and, just leave it and, just like, it's almost as if persons expect you to just say, all right, I'll just leave
Settle
it
for it.
as it is and let it work itself out. It's easier said than done when you're
True.
actually in the marriage.
Here are two issues. She feels ignored.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the big issue. She feels ignored. And the second thing is she says she doesn't know him anymore. She's looking for time.
Yeah.
She wants his time. And she has to communicate that because maybe he's not aware. Maybe he's so focused on giving her a place to live, food to eat, and buying her YSL bag, whatever she wants, but doesn't realize that she really is looking for time.
Yeah.
That's what she wants. And she has to communicate, I need your time. Now, if you did that and he ignores that, that's a whole different problem.
Yeah,
But
that's a whole
that's a whole
different.
different, but you got to try first and let him know. And sorry guys, forgive me for saying this, ladies, but I think you were going to understand what I'm saying. Men need you need to be specific. Don't tell him you're a shopaholic.
Read between the lines.
Don't let them read between the lines. You have to be specific with
Yeah.
them. I feel ignored.
Mhm.
Okay? Not you're working so much, babe. Let's go out. He doesn't know what that means. I feel ignored. Be specific. I feel ignored and I just don't know who you are. I want to reconnect with you and make a plan. But you have to be specific with that. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, and Tanya, you touched on the 5 love languages that
Yep.
Dr. Gary Chapman spoke about, and he spoke about the quality time versus the present, and maybe he's truly thinking that maybe he grew up seeing his father provide for his mother and it made her happy, or maybe he grew up seeing his friends do it and it made their spouses happy, so he doesn't really know what
Yeah.
is needed in his relationship. So I agree with you totally.
And maybe her love language is quality time. Maybe in his head, he's thinking, oh, if I buy her all these things, she'll be happy. But in her head, she's like, no, I just want your time. So communicating is very important. And as you said, Tanya, don't allow them to read between the lines. Write it clearly on the line and tell
Make it
them.
plain.
Make it plain.
Make it plain. That's right.
Yes.
I love it.
Okay.
Good stuff, guys. All right.
All right, we're gonna jump to number 3.
Number 3. It's another big question. My husband says he's a leader, but he's leading us straight into divorce. We are not on the same page spiritually, financially, emotionally, and sexually. All we are holding on to is the title. We grew up believing in marriage, but experiencing it for myself makes me sing another tune. If we are not walking together hand in hand, at what point do we face the music and call it quits?
Again, this is another question that it kind of echoes. Let's see,
I married the
number
wrong person.
13 on our list. What if I married the wrong person? So
I hate to keep bringing it to the Bible. I mean,
Nah, do so.
but it's just that staying married is not about staying in love, or what most people call love. Marriage is supposed to be the microcosm of what the relationship between Christ and His church is, and so many times, it's what Ephesians says. Paul says in Ephesians, "This I talk about Christ and the church, Christ and His bride." We're all going to go through periods of times, or Christ will go through periods of times where He doesn't understand His church. His church is away. His church won't love Him back. His church won't bring Him the kind of respect. But Christ made a commitment. He's in a covenant. That's what a covenant is for. That was the covenant that we speak when we're before the preacher and the witnesses, till death do us part. That's covenant. And so once you get in a covenant, the question should never be, hey, should we call it quits? No, the question should be, how do we make this work? How do we, how do we fight for this? So I think that we should come from that paradigm as opposed to the should I call it quits? Because once you go down that rabbit hole, it's wraps. If you're already thinking about the D word and divorce and what's like it's only a matter of time. So that's just my opinion on it.
Well, first of all, thank you for that punchline. He's a leader and he's leading us straight to divorce. That was epic. That was epic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is deep on so many levels. That is deep on so many levels, because you are the head of your household as a man. That's how I see it. Okay, you're the head of the household. So yeah, I understand that. However, this is what I was going to say. We're talking about divorce, but can we help somebody that's not even there yet? Have you all sat down and spoke about your family plan? Have you sat down and spoke about what you expect when you get married, so that you don't have a lot of unmet expectations? Because a lot of things that I'm hearing her say that she needs, some of these stuff should have been discussed before. Before we get married, I need to discuss our parenting styles. Before we get married, I need to discuss credit. I need to discuss bills. How are we going to do with bills? I need to discuss religion. How are we going to raise our kids? I need to know about your childhood trauma. Like, I want to know everything about you so I know what I'm getting into, right? And I know Luwami is probably going to kill me for this, maybe, but I know that you know, as a Christian, you should shy away from the conversation of sex. But I had that conversation before I got married.
Yeah,
I had that conversation before
very
I got married.
important.
And I was just like, this is what I want. Now, to those who were married a virgin, you probably don't even really know what you want. You think you know what you want, and you might not even love it as much as you think you're going to love it. Right? So that expectation can change once you get in. But I think that you should already be discussing this before you get there. Right? Love is not enough. You have to have a discussion. I can't say that any more than I'm saying it right now. You have to talk about these things prior. And I believe, you know what I believe? Pastors should give them the opportunity to do this. If you're going to allow them to come to you and speak to you and have premarital counseling, be open. Put everything on the table. I
Absolutely.
believe some ministers, some pastors shy away from the conversation, but you need to jump right in there, because these are real issues. And here
I
we are
believe that.
with a sister that's having an issue because she's not being met in this manner. Did you have this conversation prior? Did we come to agreement
Yeah.
before we got married? Did we agree before we got married?
But you know, Sister Tanya, you did point out that people are evolving and changing. So maybe my financial goals, maybe my aspirations have changed. Maybe we were both lackadaisical, but now one of us is a little more ambitious than the other and have grown with time. So here we are in a relationship. You
Yeah.
pointed out we're going through changes.
Yeah.
How do they navigate?
You
had
have to
mentioned
have these discussions often.
often.
You have to have
Continually.
this continually.
Yeah.
My husband and
it.
I sit down. My husband and I sit down every once in a while, and it doesn't have to be, come on, babe, let's have a meeting. We'll be in bed, honey, watching TV, put the phone on mute. Hey, I'm thinking of starting a business. Hey, I'm thinking of doing this. Hey, so how are we going to get there? Now, I'm not going to lie to you. He does initiate these conversations. I really want to watch my Ratchet TV, but he is the one initiating these conversations, if I'm being honest. But somebody's doing it so that we can have the conversation. We're always evolving. Times are changing. Things are changing. Our needs change. So we have. Thank you, Sister Jolly. You have to have this conversation all the time, consistent.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, how can two walk together unless they agree? So
How?
if there's no agreeing, there's not going to be any walking.
And I also believe that verse says, unless they be agreed.
Agreed.
So
Right.
this should have happened
Right.
before.
Right.
We walk down the aisle, and it should
Absolutely.
continue.
Absolutely. That. Yep. The downfall to every relationships is that incompatibility. So we got to make sure in every area we fit, there's a connection. We ain't trying to put on the glass shoe and it don't fit. So we got to talk about sex. We got to talk about finances, all that stuff. So definitely agree with that. And it all ties back to communication.
Communication.
You can never communicate too much.
Yeah, having these uncomfortable conversations, I think it stems from us being in church, especially for those of us who grew up in church. We didn't talk about sex growing up in church. If it wasn't for my parents, because my parents are very radical, if it wasn't for them, I mean, when I was 16, I went to my mom, and I said, Mom, I'm ready to have sex. And she's like, okay, all right, let's talk about it. Let me give you the pros. Let me give you the cons. And my husband and I, we both got married as virgins. So as Tanya said, we didn't know what to expect. But child, let me tell you, we had those conversations. And man, the expectations were great. And we laid them out. And we had all this fantasy of what it is that we wanted that life to be after we got married. Of course, expectations versus reality is like, hallelujah, amen. But we had the conversations, and I think it's very important, as Tanya said, to continually have those conversations, those uncomfortable conversations, even if it means that your voice is going to shake and you're going to cry a little bit because you're not too sure how to get the words out. Something that my husband and I do, if it is that we may not want to necessarily talk about it using words, we'll be right beside each other, and I'm sending him a message and I'm telling him everything I want to tell him. So you have to find the way to communicate, but the bottom line is you have to talk. You have to communicate it to each other.
She also said he is the leader. I don't know if I sense a little bit of resentment, but he is the leader. But just because he's the leader, don't put it all on him.
Yes,
Well,
Take
it's
I,
almost as if it's like,
Yeah,
well, you're leading us astray, you're leading us down to divorce. The wife is the help need. So okay, he's leading, and all right, what are you
yeah,
supposed to do? Are you helping him to go down
Right.
that
Are you
road?
giving him a push? Are you
There
giving him a
you
push
go.
in the
Or are
divorce?
you helping him,
right.
to just try to reel him back in and say, all right, babe, because not because he is the leader doesn't mean that at times he may lose his way or he
right,
may be going down a path. But that's why, as wives, they say the man is the head and the wives are the neck. We have to help. We have to help. It can't just be, oh, all right, you're leading us down to divorce. Let me just follow
right.
you.
And I
Just
think that's good to know. But I also think from a husband perspective too, and I know we got to jump to the next question, that it helps us, because we can be going about it with all good intentions.
right,
We're
right.
work we're the workaholic. We're traveling. We're working because at the end of the day, we want to provide for our family, and that's just part of our nature as the husband, the priest of the home. So when you're reminding us that you're the leader, that could be a gut punch, so to speak, if it's presented in the wrong way,
Right.
or you can easily a soft answer turn it the way wrath. So obviously there's a red flag in the expectation. You're the leader.
Mm-hmm.
How you
Mm-hmm.
approach me with that, can really determine, how I respond. Thus, make that change for the better, because I could be doing everything right in terms of my role and my responsibility, but I'm just neglecting the things that are so important to you that I'm not seeing, that I'm supposed to be, aware of.
Yeah,
And
and
they cannot read minds. And men cannot
yeah,
read minds.
no,
Men
No,
we will
cannot
try
read
no
no,
better.
minds. And as much as I try to telecommunicate things to my husband, he's not getting it. He's not getting it. So
No.
you have to be real and
yeah,
honest. And
absolutely.
I say this sometimes, and don't take it as disrespect. It's He is my baby. My husband is my baby. So with my children, and I'm not comparing him to a child, but I want to be clear. I just want to be clear. I don't want you to assume what I'm saying. I
Right.
don't want you to assume anything. Let me be clear. And it took me a minute to figure that out, because in the beginning of my marriage, I'm like, how come him not understand that? How come him can't get it? And in my head, it makes perfect sense. In my head, it makes perfect sense. But to him, he's like, how am I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Right? So now I treat it like, he does not know. Period. He does not know. So let me tell him. Let me explain it to him. Let me give him a chance to understand. He cannot read my mind. Let me give him a chance. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Eight to the
That's
men. That's
good.
good.
Yep,
Go
yep,
ahead, babe.
yep. All right. I expected my wife to be a part of my dreams, but she has little passion and seems to have no desire to share in my vision. How do we move forward if my God given vision and my passion that is not openly accepted by her?
Ouch.
I'm reading all these questions and I'm kind of reliving my own marriage.
Talk,
If I'm
man.
if
Talk.
I'm being if I'm being honest, it's
Talk to
just
us.
it's all I read is just a sea of unhappiness, and I was there for 11 years. It was just and I think it took coming out of that, and even then I respected my vows. Till this day I still respect my vows. But I never asked for divorce. I was faithful. I never asked. I actually begged for it not to happen. But all of these questions are bringing me back because I know that that's exactly how I felt. I'll never forget the day we were driving. I was supposed to be planning a church, and I was so pumped, so excited. And I'll never forget when I brought up, I just needed someone to talk to. So I'm talking about mission statements and what do you think the name of this should be and this and that. And I remember, her pausing she had headphones on, her pausing the music. And she said, all right, are you done or are we gonna, And that absolutely broke me. It was just like, man, I'm on this thing by myself. I'm in this thing by myself. You know, I'm flying. It's like a bird trying to fly with one wing. And that's exactly what I felt like. Like this whole thing, like, man, we got married under the wrong premise because I thought this was it. You know, Bible school, the whole deal. I thought, and then it went in a different direction. And I'll end with this. I think that it took a little getting away from it to realize what I'm saying. That when you find yourself in these kind of places, you have to, like Tanya said, you have to communicate with the person, and then you also have to communicate with the Lord. Open up about where you are and be honest about where you are with God. And then you have to, as you know, the Cuffs have said, you also have to find a third party to help you along with this. That's something that we did. That's something that did help out. Not in the long run, but it did help out while we were there. Helped us to see and make some concessions, and focus each other on, hey, you know, there are some needs here, there are some needs there. Let's each make some concessions, and let's practice on these things. And that's, you know, that's what I've got. But that's that's what I feel. We just need a third part. Communication is key. Communicate with the Lord, communicate with your partner, communicate with a third party who is wise and could help you with this.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Luami, can I ask you a question? Do
Yeah,
you mind if I ask you a question?
I don't.
So okay, and I just want to know that thank you for sharing your story and being so open and honest. I think it's incredible. Like I believe I say it all the time. We go through things not just for us, but to help people.
Absolutely.
So my question for you, before you all got married or while you were dating or courting, right? That's what we say in the church for courting. While you were courting, did she show you signs of possibly being interested in church planting and like supporting the idea of maybe church plant? Did she show you signs, or do you think you just really loved her? You didn't really look at that part of it, or did you evolve to wanting to church plant and expected her to take the journey with you?
I think my my particular situation is a little tricky,
Okay.
because there because there are some mental health issues that
Okay.
go beyond that. And when I say that, I don't mean that as you know, to try to demean her in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
That's the last thing I would like to do, or embarrass her or anything like that.
Right.
But these are legitimate issues. So my situation was a little different. I will say though, we did meet at Bible school. We dated for a year, and then I brought her home to New York because my life was New York. My
Mm-hmm.
goal, my dream was New York,
Mm-hmm.
and everything about it, you know. So I brought her to New York for 3 months during the summer, and I prayed and I told myself and I told everyone I had a ring, but I didn't give it to her until the very end, because at the very end, the night before we left New York to come back to Bible school, we went out. It's when the Twin Towers were still up. Went out to Little Italy, had dinner, then went over to the Twin Towers, and I asked her all of these questions. I said, "Well, you've been home with me. You've been home here for 3 months now. I want to know, how do you like my people? How do you like my family? How do you like ministry? This is going to be my ministry. This is going to be my life." And she answered everything just the right way. I absolutely love it. I love this. I love ministry. This is what I want to do as well. I can't wait to, you know, hopefully I get the chance to help you, this and that. When this conversation was done, we were sitting at the time at Liberty Park, and I illegally, don't judge me, drove my Nissan Pathfinder. I remember I had a Nissan Pathfinder, drove it all the way in front of the Statue of Liberty at Liberty Park. There's hardly anyone there, and you can't go in there, but I drove it all the way out, and I had the back open, and we were just sitting in the back, and this is the conversation we're having. So I asked her all of these questions. She answered all of them correctly. And once that happened, I just pulled out the ring and said, "Will you marry me?" That was my deal. I just wanted to make sure that was it. And I thought that was it, you know. So unfortunately, this is the other thing, that you can communicate with someone before you get married to them. But many people are saying what you're expecting them to
Come on
say.
now. That's where I was going. Come on now.
Yeah. And so when you know, unless you are looking at this person's lifestyle and you are testing this person in their walk without you, before you, with others, you know, unless you're actually, sometimes it really doesn't matter what they say, because so many people say what you think you want to hear.
So good,
And
man.
so the best thing is you've got to find other metrics, other ways to test the spirits, to see whether this, and ask questions of other people, you know, of people in leadership, people who are above you, people who know them. Just ask. Test the spirits, test the character.
Wow.
Yeah. I hope I answered your question.
No,
I don't know
that's
if that was
A1, bro.
To add to what Sir Diaz is saying, I think we need to be honest as singles. Sometimes we often put forward the best foot and not the real foot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, take the shoe off, show the toes with horns.
Show it.
Athlete's foot is there. Be real, because because down the road it's gonna come back and hurt you. And the next part is, as he said, you know, put people. We were counseled about it, and we counsel others about it. See people in different scenarios. What is he or she like around old people? What is he or she around like children? What is he or she around like slow Wi-Fi is something that they use now, because you're gonna see some things coming out of these people when you try the spirit, yes, but trust me, some people are so adept and so skilled at hiding the truth. But put them in some situations, carry them to a daycare to see how they are around children, leave them with your nieces and nephews, leave them with your grandparents, see how they are, so that you will know, if you have children, she'll be like this. If you When you grow old together, she'll be like this. It's a crazy world out there, but
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And if I could just highlight one thing about the question, it says she has little passion for, you know, and I'm going to address that, because I know in my marriage, there are things that I am passionate about. And my husband here, as wonderful as he is not. Like, there's certain things that I do that I know is a God-given thing, and he's just not passionate about it. But guess what he does? He allows me to operate, and he gives me the room to do what it is that God has called me to do. And sometimes that's how you support an individual, not necessarily by taking part in, but making room for and allowing that person the room to do what God has called them to do. We're in this together, and that is how I support my partner. That is how my partner supports me. It's not always, hands and boots to the ground and doing all the hand-on work. I am a reseller. That's what I do part-time, and I love doing it. And he allows me time to go shopping. He's not pushing the cart. He's not going in the stores with me, but he's allowing me to go. He's taking care of the boys, and he's like, do what you gotta do, right? This is how he supports me. So I think that's also something that, like, a lot of singles, not just for the married folks, but even for the single folks, understand that it's not everything that you're doing, that you're involved in, that your partner is going to be involved in. I don't think there should be a hindrance to anything that is your passion or your desire, but that's just a little part of that question that kind of stood out to me.
Unity versus uniformity.
Yeah. When I was singing with Ricky Dillard, right, and I was married to my husband, I
You
I
sang with Ricky Dillard?
You ain't know that?
yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
he is the life. Yes, I sure did.
Oh my.
I sure did.
There's
I
a
love him. Ricky, I love you.
whole nother perspective.
all right.
Yeah, I sang with Ricky Dillard for a long time. And I actually met my husband a couple years after I started singing with Ricky, right? And that was my passion. I wanted to sing. That was my passion. Did I want him to be in the front row cheering me on? No, not really. Not really. But you know what he did? He bought me a camera and said, "You're probably going to meet a whole lot of people on the road. I want you to take this camera and take pictures and journal it." Do you know what I'm saying? And that showed me that he supported what I did. It didn't mean he wasn't, he was passionate about what I did, but why do I have to put him in a box on how to show me that he's passionate? Why do I have to do that? It's a box. And then when we had kids, he allowed me to continue to do it, and he watched the kids at home. I think he came on the road with me twice, right? But I felt as though he was still supporting me. I
Yeah.
felt it still because he did everything else at home for me. He made my job so easy, and vice versa. There's a lot of things he's passionate about that I don't want nothing to do with sometimes. But I am not going stop laughing at me. But I am not going to suppress his passion by saying, "Why you got to do that? That's so dumb anyway." No, it's
Right.
just not something I'm not interested in, but I'm going to allow you to do you and be you, and I'm going to push you the way I know how, right? Unless it bothers him and he wants me to do something else, then I'll try another way. But that's how we do it.
Sounds good. I love
Yeah,
it.
that was good.
Y'all are killing it tonight. Just want to let y'all know it's good stuff, y'all. All
All
right,
right.
let's ask this question here. Um, I'm in my 30s and single.
Mm, you
Talk.
look good.
She look good. Um, yeah. Hopefully, a woman presented this question. I'm in
Yeah.
my 30s and single and still trying to figure out what works for me. I've prayed over my list of wants in a partner for so long, but maybe I've been focused on love being a feeling and not being open to love being a choice and finding a partner that I can choose to love. Would I be selling myself short for partners that instantly bring me butterflies or match my list?
Hmm.
Boom.
All right. What are we saying about butterflies, guys?
Well, I guess that's the
Go ahead,
kind of
Lo. Go for
question.
it.
Yeah. Um, what I would say is that butterflies were actually instituted by God. This is the way we, feel attraction for each other, etc. But what I would say is that we also need to be very careful. In the East, this kind of love is virtually non-existent. This is a very new kind of love to the world. For example, the Book of Song of Solomon, that was extremely weird to the outside world. I mean, when the audience that read it in their time were embarrassed to
Yeah.
read it because it was an extremely different kind of book for that audience. They didn't know what romantic love was about. And all throughout the Bible, you'll never see the Greeks had four types of loves: storge, phileo, eros, and agape. When you talk about eros, which is where we get erotic from, you'll never find that in the Bible. You'll never find that word in the Bible, eros. In the New Testament, it never talks about that kind of love. The whole butterflies and all that stuff. This is a Western thing. It's a Hollywood invented thing. Listen, every time I talk about this, I get a million women get on me about this, and because everyone wants to go back to the story of Jacob, and
Yeah.
it's so pretty and all that. And even that story, like, y'all, listen, the man was lustful. Like he was lusting after Rachel. I hate to break it to you. Listen, on the day of the marriage, after he worked the 7 years, he came back. And this is what he told his future father in law. He said, "Where is Rachel that I may sleep with her?"
Hmm.
This is what he's asking for. This is not some story. He was into her in another way. And this kind of love, again, I'm not here to put a damper on it, because it is a God instituted thing. Um, Evolutionist scientists say that we feel it, in order to keep keep um, keep our species alive. That's why it's there. Um, and I think that God put it in there as a mechanism for when you are in marriage.
Yeah.
But love, true biblical love, is an act of the will first and foremost, accompanied by emotions, which gives itself in sacrificial, in sacrifice to another. So I think that first and foremost, you have to throw butterflies out the window when you're making your decisions, and you've got to go with the will, you've got to go with wisdom, you've got to go with what is right. That's easier said than done, but you've got to go with that, and then let that lead you to butterflies, let that lead you to the emotional aspect of things.
Lo, I'm glad you touched on this, the whole Jacob deal. It's one of my favorite stories. And sorry, we're preachers, so we just gotta stay in this vein. Just for a couple more seconds.
Yeah.
But I like what I think it was LaShawn that just threw it out there, that butterflies die. Because at the end of it all, at the end of Jacob's life, before he died, he said, "Bury me with Leah."
Yep.
That butterfly season, that stage, that desire. This could tie into the question: did I marry the wrong person? All of that lust and wanting and desiring Rachel, at the end of the day, he requested to be buried with the one that was afflicted, the one that he never loved, the one that he never desired. Although he woke up in the morning with Leah, it was at the end of his life that he said, "When I die, bury me with her." The
Yep.
butterflies died, and
Yep.
the realistic element now kicked in. So I'm glad you
Only Leah can give you a Judah.
Come on.
preach. Preach.
Yep.
Yep.
You know.
Listen,
So
I
And
think
I
I
want
think,
to.
I think
Okay.
some of us watch too many movies, to be honest. And so we base what we think love is supposed to be
Yeah.
and what we think is love around these Christmas movies are on Netflix. And we're like, oh, that's what I want. That's what. And then when the reality hits and you realize that, okay, say after the honeymoon phase and you're not feeling all that butterflies, you tend to wonder, okay, all right, are we doing something wrong? Love, and we've always said this, it's not a feeling, it's a decision. And it's a decision that you have to make every single day to stay committed to this one person. When them belly get big, when they don't look as how they used to look before the kids, I don't look how I used to look before the kids. And my husband still loves me, right?
Ah,
Right? When he used to see me when I was 115 pounds and his heart used to flutter and the butterflies and all of that. Yeah, all of that is nice. But especially when you get married and you evolve as a couple, the feeling that persons are referring to as the butterflies, they fade. They're still there for some people. And they'll reappear at different moments. But when children come into the picture, the job gets tough, when all of that just kind of come together, you're not really feeling no butterflies, but you have made a decision to keep loving each other through thick, through thin. You have decided that this is my one and only. And even though I may not be feeling the butterflies, and also I want to say you know, we're in this age of social media, and you know, we look at the pictures and we look at the TikToks and we look at the Instagram reels and the couple goals and relationship goals, and you know, we tend to want that for us by just looking at a picture or by just looking at a 30-second video. We have to be so careful about
True.
how we try to gauge our relationships and gauge our marriages based on what we're seeing on the internet. Yes, we have to be so very careful. But at the end of it all, love is a decision.
Right.
And you can't rely on the butterflies to keep the fire going. It's a decision.
It comes down to word versus world for me. You know, we get so caught up in the world's view versus the word of God. And I don't recall much hearing from the word of God about these butterflies. Yes, it is evident at different points, but the substance of the relationship has to be based on the word of God, not the world's view, not what is put on the TV stations, but the word of God. Love is patient, love is kind. For God so loved the world that he did what? He gave. Not many of us are willing to give into our relationships. We're all about taking. What do you bring to the table so I can eat? Yeah. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever will. He sacrificed everything for us. But we're all caught up in this whole butterflies and how it looks and how I can get this and that. We're not grounded and rooted, and that is why we have so many problems today.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Butterflies are still good though, ain't it?
Sorry. I was just gonna say, Risha.
No, but you know what?
That's the thing I was saying as I'm sitting here. I get butterflies still when I see my husband and he's
Oh, me too, honey. Me too.
Yeah, but it's not the grounding principle, is it?
And he's but it's there. And you know, it's there. And you know what frightened me one time? I was getting married, and an older lady said to me, "Oh, don't worry, girl. You're gonna love him for 3 years. After that, you just kind of hang around." And I was like, Oh, is that what we do in church? We're just supposed to be mediocre and just stay together? Because no, my husband can do things for me that gives me butterflies, and I will do things for my husband that gives him butterflies. I will have butterflies for the rest of my life. Believe it. That might not be important to everybody. Maybe everybody don't care for it, and I understand about being rooted and grounded. I am down. Rooted and grounded, praying together, reading together, serving the Lord, all of that. I am down with that 100%. But believe me when I tell you, if my husband walks in here and he got a fresh haircut and he comes in,
easy.
Watch
It's
going crazy in my stomach. Yes, I get butterflies, and yes, you can have butterflies. Another thing I wanted to address is this list, sis. She has a list. All right. I'm so scared about lists because a lot of times and I'm trying to answer the question that was written. Are you matching what's on your list? All the things on your list. Do you have these things for yourself? So you have a list. Can you match this list? Or are you just expecting somebody to fulfill your list? Will you match his list? Like, I agree that we should have wants and needs and desires, but at 30, your list should be significantly shorter than when it was 20, when you were 20. When you get to 40, it's almost going to be non-existent. Like, let's keep it 100. You should have expectations, but this long list of what you're expecting is perfection? No. Let's grow together. Let's become together. You're not going to come to me the way I want, you're not going to come to me and love me the way I want. That only happens when you learn me. And the only way you're going to learn me is when we become intimate, we live together, and you see my in and out, and I share intimate details with you. That's the only way you're going to know how to really love me, because then you'll really know me. So this list that we have, we got to cut out a little bit of this list. I don't know, but
I see some of the wives in the living room on fire tonight with these butterfly comments.
No,
Listen, I think Brian said it can't be the grounding principle in terms of this, and that's what it is. So we're not talking about, we expect butterflies to die.
No, not at all. But it can't be the only thing that you use to gauge.
Love. Yeah,
it can't be. And when you talk about lists, I had a list at what age I got married at 25, and let me tell you, I know people are careful about having lists, but let me tell you, I told God exactly what I wanted in a man, and let me tell you, I got it. And let me tell you why. For me, it's important where where lists are concerned. Yes, you have to be very careful, but I also think it's very important that you tell God exactly what you want.
Right.
I remember saying to God, you know, I want a man like my father. And, you know, it sounds cliche, and they say, oh, you know, you say that no until you get whatever. But let me tell you, my husband is so much like my father, all the bad habits him come with. And
I was about to say.
and I said, I love him. I love him, good, bad, everything. Because the thing about lists is sometimes we ask for somebody to be perfect, and there is no perfect man, there's no perfect woman. So you have this list, but there's no consideration for, okay, you're not going to get all of these things, but you'll get what's important. And also, you know, Tanya was talking about, are you matching up? I hear people say, oh, I want a man of God that prays, and you can't even say the Our Father properly before prayer. You know? So are you matching up to this list that you are creating? And, you know, just to add to the butterfly story, yes, butterflies are important, and yes, they keep things fiery. And hallelujah. But it's not be the determining factor for you whether your marriage is working.
And
don't
don't buy into the church principle of your honeymoon phase soon finish. We worked
right. Thank you.
We responded to them that our honeymoon is gonna last for the rest of our lives. And we ensure that we keep it.
Absolutely.
Yeah? Thank you.
So whatever you need to do to keep the fire burning, if you need to get a bottle of kerosene oil and a big matches, or in the gas station, make them spray you with the gas. No, not literally, you know. But whatever you need to do to keep the fire burning, you just have to put in the effort.
Mr. and Mrs. Cuff.
About her list, and she used some Jamaican terminologies about John stale bread and all of this.
I love my husband like how John loves stale bread. So if y'all know, you don't know, I love him a lot.
But I do think lists are important. I do think don't get me wrong. I do think lists are important because you need to write the vision and make it plain. Okay, yeah, write the vision, make it plain. I do agree, but list is not going to protect you from heartbreak. Your list is not going to protect you from heartbreak. So you have, even with that list, is going to come a lot of growing pains.
Yeah.
You might not, and on that list, did you see everything on that list before you married him? Some of those things on that list happened after you got married.
Right.
Some of those things that were check mark off that list.
Yep.
So don't look for a list and say, I'm not going to marry this person because they don't meet this list. No, that list can be checked off during the process of your relationship.
Absolutely.
So be mindful.
Likewise, Sister Tanya, just as they said in the question, they're wanting to know if they should settle for the list or someone that instantly brings them butterflies. And I feel like when you enter into a relationship, the initial butterflies might not be the butterflies you get later on in life, because you're growing and you're experiencing different things. So don't feel like because you didn't get something on the initial, that once you get into a relationship with the person, you're not going to get those things. Okay? Because if you're not in intimate relationship, if you're not, and I'm going to be plain, if you're not being sexual, there's going to be certain sexual aspects of marriage that you're going to experience where it's going to ignite the butterflies when you start seeing your husband walking into a room. And that might not be butterflies that you experienced prior to marriage. So you don't feel like the initial butterflies, like when you feel butterflies prior to that, you know all there is that you're going to know of that partner. You're going to explore and discover new and different things, but just make sure that you've chosen the right one, because love is a choice.
The butterfly, it starts off as butterflies, Sister Lisa, and then it ends up as eagles. It just continues to soar the more you get married. I love my husband more now than I loved him when I walked down the aisle, and I thought I loved him then. But child, through the heartache and the tribulation and everything that we've gone through, knowing that we'd be okay, the love for him is so much different. It's so much more mature. Yeah. It's so much greater. And the butterflies start pounding in my stomach. It's no longer butterflies. It's not. It's like a growing baby. At first, it's like a little, isn't it? At first, it's like a little.
Right.
Until one day you feel a bump. One big kicking on your stomach, and you know this baby is growing. That love grows, and it just becomes much more intense. Yes.
Let's be real then. Talk about butterfly maturing into an eagle. Tell them that the butterfly sometimes starts as a caterpillar. It doesn't look the way you think it's gonna look, but it eventually gets to that point. Let them know.
Yes. You better. Yes, sir. Now,
Marry the
that's a whole
caterpillar,
different
then they get the
conversation.
butterflies after.
From the butterfly. What do you mean? What do you mean?
That's what you did.
But then you know what as long as you are aware of the process of the caterpillar,
Right, and
you
the
know
character.
eventually it's going to
It's
become
gonna
a
get
butterfly.
there. There you go.
Stay the course. Stay the course. This generation quits so quickly.
Yeah, true.
They quit so they're so smart yet so weak.
Come on now.
So smart and so weak. And it's like, when did we quit? Marriage, and I love what Sister Lisa said. Marriage is a commitment. There's a times that I look at my husband and it's like, I don't love you today, but you know what? I made a commitment to God. But you know what happens a week later, or maybe the next day? The love comes right back. Just hang on in there. Hang on in there. It's not always going to be roses. It's not always going to be great. I said it before. How do you know something is alive? When there's up and downs. How do you know on a baby monitor there's up and downs? That's how you know there's a heartbeat there. As long as there's ups and downs, there's life. Keep going. Keep pushing.
Sister Tanya, roses have thorns. Let them know. Let them know.
And baby have teeth and them bite.
Come on.
Lawami, you want to throw in any kind of patwa, Lawami?
No, sir.
Say something in Spanish.
No, sir.
Say something in
How
Spanish.
do we say all of this in Spanish?
I need a translator for y'all right now.
But you know what?
I will say though
touched on. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say that. Well, a couple things, but those butterflies mature real quick after you go into the bathroom after he did. Those things mature real quick. I'm gonna tell you that much. But I'm gonna say something else, that a lot of people get married and you have certain expectations, and I think that most of us going into marriage thinking about youth, the white picket fence, the 3 babies, the American dream, the man, all of that stuff. And we never think about the fact that marriage is not to live young together. Marriage is about growing old together. And life is the arena where heartbreak happens. And people get cancer, people get strokes. Along the way, people die. And Sister Tanya, you're one of the very blessed ones to still be able to have these kind of butterflies, because a lot has gone right in you've been blessed, and there are a lot of marriages like that, and I'm very thankful for them. But consider a friend of mine who got married, and in that first year, his wife was giving birth to their child, had a stroke, was paralyzed for life. He's been with her for decades, can't have sex, can't have any more children. He rolls her everywhere they go. They can't hardly communicate. She's had dozens upon dozens of surgeries. So, when we talk about butterflies, everybody's different. Marriage is a lot more than just, ooh, when I see him, marriage is the arena where heartbreak happens. It's life. So there has to be something that really grounds you beyond the butterflies. Yeah.
But when I say butterflies, I'm not.
Every time I talk, it's so sad.
But when I say butterflies, when I say butterflies, I hope you're not thinking that I'm just speaking about how he looks. It's much deeper than that. Like it's what we've grown and become together. It's what we've built together. It's what we've accomplished together. It's the conversations. It's the depth that we've gone into. And you know what? I always said to God, I say, God, I want to marry somebody that if he were to catch on fire, or if his face were to burn, or someone threw acid on his face, I would still stay there because I love him that much. Our love is that strong. Our connection is that strong. And our commitment is that strong. And we both want to stay married. Right? I understand what you're saying when you when you said, I'm blessed to have butterflies. But not only am I blessed, I think I'm intentional. I intentionally try to remain and have butterflies. I want to always feel that depth of love with my husband. And sometimes I don't, and it hurts me. Sometimes I don't, and it bothers me. But I try to get back there. In our when we argue, when we have disagreements, I don't feel those butterflies, but I work so that we can get it, we can get back there.
That's a
And
good
maybe I'm using butterflies for a different word, but it's a butterfly to me. It's a
That's a good
butterfly to
one.
me.
We have one more question that is along the same lines, and I think we should just throw it in here now before we completely switch gear, and we are going to switch gear after this one. So you want to go with that?
Go ahead, Ben.
All right. My spouse and I didn't get married because we were in love. We had a good vibe and felt that it was it. Now we see the downfall to not being in love. There are some expectations that are not being met. We're cool, but it doesn't feel like we're getting any closer to being lovers anytime soon. We've been married for 5 years.
Wow.
So here we go. This kind of falls into, and all the singles that are on here, I know this is a question that was posed by a married couple, but listen keenly because this is going to help you and this is going to spare you a lot of heartache. What do? They got married because of a good vibe.
That question gave me an instant headache. I can't imagine being married and not being in love and not loving, because it's for me. I know people who say they get married for other reasons, but for me, love in a marriage is so important. For me, why? Because when things get tough and when things are upside down and when you're going through life together and trying to maneuver, for me, love is that thing that is going to keep you together. It's going to keep you together. And yeah, it's the glue. So it's like having all of these different things happening around you, and at the end of the day, you're like, I love him. And so it gives you that little extra push to keep fighting for your marriage. It gives you that extra push to keep going, even when things are not going right, even when you feel like you want to give up. For me, love is so very important. So I don't even know how to respond to that if there is no love, because I don't know how to respond to that.
I would love to get biblical and controversial in a sense, because if we say God is love and love is God, then for me you have to have love, because love is God and God is love. So it has to be the grounding principle for me. Yeah, it has to be the foundation. It can't be you building the house from the top down. You have to build from the bottom up. That's how I view. And I go back to what I said earlier. For God so loved the world, it was the love that He had that moved the mighty God from there to here to help us. So I think the vibe thing, I mean, it's important to have a vibe check. Yeah. Love encompasses a whole lot more than we let on. Yeah. And love encompasses more than what the move is, which drives a lot of how we view love. So
Yeah.
we need the love. We need the love.
A vibe for me determines where I go today or tomorrow, where we
Not
feel to
long-term.
go, but not a long-term commitment like
So it's
marriage.
rough.
So
It's
I
rough.
don't know.
They said that we see the downfall now of not being in love.
Yeah.
Because
And
of
that
it.
makes me feel sad because
So my question is this: that okay, now that you see the downfall of not being in love, but then the next line is there are some expectations that are not being met. So can expectations be met?
without love.
Well, here's the thing.
Like Brian, what you said about the building aspect.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that's exactly what I was going to say. Going back to what Brother Brian just said, this is not the ideal situation to be in. Okay, you're going backwards. But the question is, if we're going to help these folks, what do they do? How do they move forward? If the decision is we want this to work, if you have committed to being in that relationship, you might have entered it for the wrong reasons, but you're there. What do you do now? And I feel like it's possible to at least attempt to work backwards.
Yep.
Okay. So you're in this relationship with somebody. At least one thing was good. You had good vibes. Okay. Now,
Yes.
what is it? Love is something that is cultivated. Okay. It's not just there or not there. It's
Yeah.
cultivated. And
Yes.
there are, what makes me love somebody? My needs are being met. My emotions are being struck. All these things that I need. And it's going to take a lot of communication for two people that are not on the same page to kind of know what each expectations are. If I know what he needs and I'm striking, all those chords, I'm doing all those things, it's natural. That's why best friends fall in love. Even friends who didn't have a emotional attraction to each other, they end up falling in love like us because he used to annoy me as a friend, but he struck all the right chords eventually,
Yeah.
and that's because he opened up to me. So maybe they just need to open up to each other as far as sharing what it is that I'm looking for, that I'm maybe not getting from you. And if each is willing to provide that, I think the love will come,
Yeah.
because the other thing is you fall in love with those who make sacrifices for you. And if you know that somebody is going to be committed to you and is willing to make certain changes or certain adjustments to meet your needs, you're naturally going to fall for that person. So I think there's hope. It's not ideal, but
Yeah.
let's not feel like we're stuck in the marriage because of the Bible. Okay. Let's feel like we're stuck in the marriage because we're committed to the marriage and do what is necessary to make it work.
Maybe I just need to start from day one. So start dating
Find
again.
Start
something.
dating again.
Find
Start
something to
from
build
day one.
on. Yeah.
That's
Start
it.
from day one. Yes, you're already in the marriage, and yes, you may be feeling like you're going backwards, but start from day one. So pretend like you just meet, and okay, let's talk about your likes, your dislikes. What can I do? They have an advantage though. They can do things and things and things because we couldn't do it when we were dating, right? So they have a little advantage where that is concerned. But start from day one. Get help if you need to get help. And I think that is something, especially in the church, that is not often talked about, is getting that third party, getting help. We have a friend.
The right third party.
Yeah, the right third party. We have a
Right.
friend. Her name is Dr. Carla Dunbar. She's a pastor. She's known as the sex professor in Jamaica. And listen, before we got married, because we didn't have a clue what we were going to do and how to get things done, I went to see her and I'm like, all right, Rev, there are certain things that I want to get some information on. So maybe it is that they need to get somebody to help to counsel them and to help to guide them through the process. But my recommendation would be start from the ground up. Start all over again. Start to get to know each other all over again, just as you would in the dating phase where you are trying to get to know this person, what they like, so you can strike the right chords, start to get to know each other again. And I believe if both, and it can't just be one person, if both are committed to the marriage, then I believe eventually the falling in love can take place.
After you've been married a day, after you've been married a night, you will see things in the marriage that says to give up. But there's so many things in the marriage that says to go on. And it's just about seeing those things. We have to be deliberate. We always use the word, and it has come up several times tonight. Deliberate, choosing to, seeing those things. Find back the vibe. Yeah, Jamaica would say, you build back a vibes.
Yeah, build
Or
back
you
a
build
vibe.
back the vibes, then you build around it. Yeah, and you go to the third party is important, but you go to the source. You need love in your relationship. You realize the downfall of not having love. Go to the lover. That is the lover of our souls. He can guide you. He'll lead you.
I actually think they're in a good spot because they both feel the same way.
That's
So it's I think they're in a good spot because it's different if one person is feeling this way and it's like you have to convince the other person, but they're both in the same spot.
That's good.
So I actually think they're in a very good spot, and you have a very good chance. You just need to build on it, because if you're telling me that you've reached the peak of your love on your wedding day, yes, you have a lot of building to do.
Yeah.
You have a lot of work to do, but with work comes joy. With work comes victory. You got to work, just work. Marriage is not easy.
No.
And I don't want anybody to be afraid of it.
Mhm.
And, we're talking about it and, we're shedding some light, but don't be afraid. Anything worth fighting for is work. It's going to take a lot of work every day. Marriage is work. And if you want to stay married, you have to work. If you
Put in the work.
value your partner, you have to work. It's going to take work. So I think you're at a good spot. If you're on the call, you guys are at a very, very, very good spot.
Good stuff.
There's a comment here. Paula said, I heard a marriage counselor once say, if you do the things of love, the love will follow. If you do the things of love, the love will follow. And that's kind of what I would say here, because it is true that actions often flow from affection. You know, action. You know, you love and then you act as if you love. But it's also true. The inverse is also true, that our affections also flow from our actions. So the more you do something, the more you begin to love that something. C.S. Lewis said one time, I think it was, I want to say it was in Mere Christianity, but I don't remember what book I read this in. But he said, don't waste time bothering whether you love your neighbor. Act as if you did. Act as if you did. And in our day and age of self-actualization and being true to self, and well, that's fake, you know, that's what we would say. That's fake. Why would you fake? And that's not the way the Bible treats love. Love has always been an imperative. You're commanded to love your neighbor. You're
Right.
commanded to love God. You're commanded to love the church, to love your wife. You're commanded to love not the world. So regardless of where your affections are, you're still commanded to. There's going to be times when you don't feel like loving God, but it's a command. It's an act of the will. You're supposed to do this, and the more you do this, the more you will fall in love. So I guess what I would suggest to a couple who's going through the motions per se and thinking, hey, we don't feel it, we're here but we don't feel it, is act as if you do. And then you need to act in faith that he who started a good work in you will perform it. And that in the process of acting as if you do, God will provide the butterflies, you know, that God will provide the rest of you'll get the will and the do of his good pleasure in your act of faith as you're acting the part. Yeah.
They're having conversation. I love that.
Mhm.
They're already
Which
having
is good.
conversation.
Which is good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very, and I mean, I got so much hope, and I know it was it was almost like almost a sad question, but I
Mhm.
did. I got a lot of hope hearing that they're having a conversation for you guys to both realize you're at the same spot. You're talking, you're starting. That's good.
That's
That's
good.
good.
That's good. So starting over is good, and the fact that they're both on the same page makes it a
Yeah.
whole lot, quote unquote, easier, because it's not one trying to push the other. They're both, you know, in it to make it work. So I wish them all the best.
Yeah, you guys are gonna do
So-
it. Stick with it. Do the work. Let the word do the work. Do the work.
Yeah, we're cheering you on. Come on.
Woo!
Absolutely.
Fall
Absolutely.
in love. Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right.
There's a big one.
Switching gears.
It's a big one. Dating someone in church has been rough for me.
Hmm.
I've experienced the lukewarm guy and the church seat warmer guy. But when I'm interested in the guys that seem more solid in their relationship with God, I feel like they've rather chase being a pastor or minister and don't have time for a serious relationship or marriage. The question is, do I wait on them to be ready? Why can't they balance both? With the right partner, their ministry could be better.
Oh Lord.
I love it that every time we ask a question, it gets so quiet, y'all.
Silence.
Just
Thinking. That's the sound of thinking.
Can I say something real quick?
talk, Tanya.
He doesn't want you. Period. What are you talking? He does not want you. He's going to find a lady that he's going to take time out for, even if he's in ministry, even if he's involved in all this kind of stuff. When a man wants a woman, it doesn't matter what's going on in his life. He's going to make time. He is going to make time for you.
Or what if the timing is not there in terms of marriage.
No, no. Then she's not the one. Then she's not it. Let's stop. She's not it.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I don't even know how much more to say it, because when you find the one, when somebody sees somebody, when a hunter finds what he's been hunting, there's nothing stopping him from getting his prey. And he will continue doing the work. He will continue doing ministry. But guess what? In all that, he's going to make time to get to know his prey. He's going to get time to get to know who you are. What was the last sentence she said? It made my blood run cold.
Maybe it's, yeah, I mean, do I wait on them to be ready? So
No, he does not want you.
And you know, sometimes people wonder how it is that, you know, somebody may know somebody for say 10, 15, 20 years and nothing happens, but then they meet somebody for a year and bam, they're married.
It does not even have to be a year.
That person.
It doesn't even have to be a year.
It doesn't even have to be a year.
I've seen somebody do it in a month.
Listen, when a man knows what he wants, and a woman too, I might add, you know, we go after what we want. I remember saying to my husband that, you know, I hear people saying, the man said he's not ready yet. If you can give them like, you know, 20 years, 10 years, you're not a mortgage, honey. You're not a mortgage. Yeah. When a man knows what he wants, he'll go after what he wants. Yeah.
I love
Listen,
that.
I'm just gonna drink. I'm drinking some water and let y'all talk. I'm asking the questions.
And you know what I love though, because I am dying over here, ladies. Why do we do this? I can make his ministry better. He doesn't see you in his life. Stop it. He doesn't see you in his life. But there is somebody that's going to see you and going to see that value in you as well, that you're going to make. But he's not the one. He's not it. He does not want you. Sorry.
Yeah, it feels like, you know, she's probably the one wanting, but the man is not interested. And as you said again, yeah, if he wants you, he made the time.
He will. You know what irks me? Can we go even further? Let's go even further. You know what irks me? Hearing ladies say, "Oh yeah, he only texts me. Yeah, no, he didn't have any time to talk. So I haven't spoken to him all week." No man that's interested in a woman. No man that is interested in a woman will not make time, even if it's 1 minute, to say, "I don't have the time right now to call you. I'll call you later."
At least that.
At least that.
Yeah,
women, stop doing this.
That. Yeah, we need to stop doing that to ourselves. And a lot of times, you know, we're the ones doing it to us. Well, not we are. They're the ones doing it to themselves. Or we as women, we're the ones doing it to ourselves. So we kind of, we need to stop that. Yeah.
I will say that I'm going to agree with all of you on this, because and sometimes I overshare, but whatever, it is what it is. You know, I always thought, man, I don't have time for this whole puppy love type thing and all this stuff. Like, I'm just, you know, it's just going to be a mental thing. Let me tell you, like in 2020, and I don't know what it was, whether it was the circumstances surrounding the year, but I found myself, and it's a girl I've known a long time, but for some reason we came back together, as far as like life just kind of put us in the same place again. I have never ever in my life felt the way I did for a person of the opposite sex. And it hit me like, oh my goodness, you're not lying. Because when you are really interested in someone, it didn't matter how tired I was. It didn't matter that I'd come home, it'd be 1 a.m, and I'd send a text saying, "Hey, I hope I didn't wake you, but just letting you know that, you know, you're on my mind, and hopefully we get to talk." And it was stuff that I thought. Get
some of these girls, be careful, they might be sliding into your DM.
Hold up,
but no,
hold up.
Right.
I'm just.
You are right.
No, but what I'm saying is I felt that difference. It was like, yo, this is true. Like when you're really about somebody, it doesn't matter how busy you are. It doesn't matter how Like you are about somebody.
Mhm.
And so when people are like, hey, I don't know if he's, should I don't know, no, like, trust me, when this dude is about you, you will know that he is about you.
Yeah.
He will make it plain. And then last thing I'll say is, I have a friend who was telling me just the other day that she met a guy, and she said this guy is just different. She had been dating another guy who was, well, I don't know if I should meet your parents yet, and this and that. She met a guy who's like military, older man and the guy said to her for Thanksgiving, said, hey, would you mind if I go with you back home? I'd love to meet your parents. And like he's volunteering. That's just a whole nother level. That's that level that says, I'm into you. Like there's no, ifs, there's no buts here. I'm really into you. And I think that women need to start paying attention to that, and stop seeking, or stop desiring stuff, or trying to call into being things that are not there, and look at your reality and say, no, this ain't it. He's not about me.
Exactly. And you know what? If I could piggyback on off of what everyone has said, and especially what Brother Luami has said, I look at what she said as being a red flag. So here we have this man of God. She has epitomized this person, the holier than thou, as being the one, and he is overly involved in the ministry. And that's a red flag, because when you enter into a relationship or marriage with that individual, and that individual continues in his like-mindedness, putting the church first, God never called anyone to marry the church. Okay, you have to go out there and find a bride. He that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. The Bible says you're supposed to treat that wife as Christ treats the church, and not abandon that individual for the church. So you might look at that person as being like spiritual and in tune with God, but clearly something is off with the brother if he's not pursuing what God has called him to pursue, a wife, and if he's not looking in your direction, then, like Sister Tanya said, you're not the one.
You're not the one.
Brother Wami said it as well. You haven't caught his eye. He hasn't found the one.
Yep. And it's
So,
part of the elder. In order to be an elder, in order to be a minister, it's part of the qualifications that
Correct.
you must have your home in order. Because
Correct.
if you can't handle your own home, how can you order the house of God?
Yeah.
And it's almost like so many of these dudes are out here, ministers who are out here saying, oh God, if only I had less time with my family so that I could give more time to the church. And God is saying, if you want more time to the church, then prove it by the time you give to your family. That's what he's saying in the qualifications. He's saying you better rule your home well. If you can't rule your home well, then how are you going to rule the house of God?
Right.
Yeah.
And so I want you to prove yourself by the time you spent with your family. That's first and foremost. That's what God is saying. So he ain't it.
he ain't it.
He ain't it. Hard
Love it.
pass.
Thank you.
Somebody says, I agree with what everyone, but sometimes timing does play a part. However, no one needs to be waiting on each other. What are we telling ourselves? He does not want you. It ain't no time. He does not want you. I wish we could just have a conference for women so that we can just sit there and just really talk and be like, sis, get up. Stop it.
We can throw in an extra week for you, Tanya.
Yeah. Let's have a
Now,
conversation, girl. And I made those mistakes too, so I can understand. I made those mistakes. I'm not perfect. I certainly made those mistakes. But when it's you know what it is? You're going to have to see what it looks like for someone to really be into you. You're going to see a stark difference.
Yeah.
When you know somebody is really into you and they start calling you and they start doing, there's going to be a huge difference, and you're going to realize when a man wants you versus when he doesn't.
Maybe
let me just say
that yet. Because if they've experienced that before, then they'll know that
Yeah.
Right.
this isn't
Right.
it. Yeah.
So they haven't experienced it yet.
I will say that that I think Keisha is right in that sometimes timing does play a part. But during the, but you shouldn't be out there. I mean, it's up to God to when the time is right to bring you guys back together. But in the meantime, you shouldn't be out there still hoping and praying and and oh, this is what I'm saying. Like, if the dude's not about you, he's not about you. Just
Right.
move on and don't waste your time. If it's God's will, He'll bring you guys back together somehow.
Maybe it's the list. Maybe it's the list that they have. Yeah, maybe it's the list. So they're holding on to the list, but yeah, it's probably just going to end in heartbreak when they find the one in 2 weeks and it's a wrap.
Unless you have the patience, of what's his name? He just got engaged. Bishop Noel Jones's fiance. Unless you have that patience.
Lord.
Why, Tanya?
She's cut from a different cloth.
Completely.
Did you not know this, Lawami?
I did not know this.
Bro, he
Yes.
popped the question,
At
man.
72, he popped the
On
question.
his birthday.
Really?
On his
After
72nd
25
birthday.
years.
Your boy's like
After how many
83.
years? After was it
They
like
said
40
25,
That's the way
25 years of being
waited like 40 years.
Wow.
Unless you have that type of patience. But honey, don't
Why?
do it because you're gonna live with resentment. You're gonna
How long they date? Why are we doing this? My
like
bad.
25 years.
Tanya, why you do this?
Lord, it
I'm sorry.
is
I'm
it
just
is
saying, but there
the
are
love
women
in the
out there
living
that
room.
will
That's
wait.
where all the
All
gossip
right, I'm
happens.
just saying.
There
Amen.
are women that
I mean,
will
all
wait.
these reality
We
TV
ain't
shows,
gossiping, we sharing.
We're
preachers
sharing.
of LA.
And there are women that will wait. But what is at stake here? Having kids potentially, building and being where you need to be. Like, come on, there.
Well, obviously, she
How
had.
old is she?
She's way younger than Bishop Jones is.
Is
Mhm.
she?
I
No,
think
she
I
is.
think she is younger.
Yes, she is.
Yeah,
Well, she's
and the
got to
thing,
be younger than 73.
Yes.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
yes, she's younger than.
The thing is, I mean, that we got to consider that too. Like, she really had the capacity, that amount of time, that capacity to wait. And I know that could be a shocker to a lot of people. It's like,
Yeah.
man, they've been dating for 20, almost 25, almost 30 years. Like, why now on the day of your birthday, your
Let's not
72nd
ask
birthday, you pop?
why. I just wanted to know how she waited that long because as a sister, that's a long time to wait.
Listen, God can make.
And
If
I'm
God
gonna
made,
tell you this. I know so
Lord.
many. No, I'm gonna say this. I know so many young women who were my age, in my age bracket, who devoted 5, 6, 7 years into a relationship and were broken
Yes.
and it didn't work out.
Yes.
Okay, so let's not even go down that road. Ask yourself, can I invest 8 years and walk away? Can I invest 7 years and walk away? Because if the answer is no, then don't go down that path.
Don't go chasing waterfalls.
Somebody said, well, it was meant to be.
He's Bishop Noel
All
Jones.
right.
Yeah.
Whatever. And you're right. You just said it. He's Bishop Noel Jones. Yeah. I don't know if he was a regular Joe Blow if they would have waited that long. What do you think?
I would agree with that.
That's
Rachel
a good
waited
point.
14 years though.
Well, 14 years.
There's
Yeah.
another side to it too.
Yeah. Right.
But
Right.
that ain't normal.
But ladies, I think what we're all saying is if a man is into you, he's into you, and you will know it. You will know it. Stop making excuses. Stop making excuses. Stop seeing yourself walking down the aisle with this man who's not even answering your calls, talking about, I'll text you next week. What? What? You sitting there planning out your first lady outfit, and he's talking about, all right, hey, you FaceTime him and he blocks you talking about, yeah, can I talk to you like next week? Cause stop this. Stop it. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Yep.
You help
That's the
somebody.
truth.
All right.
You helping
Next
me.
question.
I want to know. I just want. I want to. This is a teaser, y'all. To the cuffs and to Tanya. Like, what was that moment? This mention one moment that you felt that energy coming, Tanya, from your husband, the cuffs, like, or I should say, Mrs. Cuff, that he's into me. Whether like you felt that
Why
intentional.
didn't you ask me?
Why you
And
gonna throw
because
me
we
out?
gonna bring
Just
it
want
right
to know
back
what
to
you
you.
No,
did.
no, I don't. No, I don't.
All right,
Uh,
ladies, fine. You
yeah.
answer.
So let me. I want to know this. I'm just curious, Tanya, and then go ahead, Basilia.
My baby's daddy, he's in here. Hi, honey. Okay. How did I know? You know how I knew? The first conversation we had, he said, "Can I have your number? I'd like to call you sometime." And guess what he did? He didn't wait for me to leave town. I came in from Georgia having to do a concert, and he
Okay.
was the sound man. And we had a conversation, and he said to me, "Can I have your number? I'd like to call you sometime." I said, "Sure." I thought he was going to wait till I get to Georgia, but he ain't play no games. He called me when the concert was done. He called me
Okay.
when the concert was finished.
Okay.
And then guess what he did after that? He called me
What?
the next morning. "Hey, good morning." And you know what he did after that? He called me for lunch. And then he called me the next day. He
When the
wasn't
sun
playing.
went down.
You understand what I'm saying? He was always concerned. And when he couldn't speak to me, it was a text. "Hey, I'm thinking about you."
Mm,
It was always, I was on his mind.
that's awesome.
I was always on his mind. There was no question of whether he was thinking of me or not. I was always on his mind. I was his priority.
We need to
It
bring
didn't
him in the
matter
living
what was
room.
going on. And the only time he tried to get off the phone is when he was coming to propose to me, and he didn't want to pay for his American minutes in Canada. And I was on the phone with him because I knew something was up. And he was like, "Babe, I'm at the church praying for us. Can you hang up the phone?" And I was like, "Nope, we stayed on the phone for 3 hours. I want to know where you are," because I knew that bill was running up. But he stayed on the phone.
I love
On the phone. He showed me what he wanted. He showed me what he wanted, and I obliged.
Celia, you're it.
So for Brian and I, we met at work. So we worked together. And I was a country girl, so I lived several parishes away, and he was from that side in Spanish Town, Kingston. And when I moved up to Kingston, I didn't know anywhere. And off the bat, Brian volunteered to take me everywhere I needed to go. Even if it was just up the road where I could find my way, he would volunteer because he was saying, you don't really know the one-way road, and I don't want you to get lost. I didn't mind. Hello, I didn't mind. And then I remember when we were on two different shifts at work, he would come to work at 6 a.m. and I would come to work at 2 p.m. And he would stay at work, keeping my company, doing something at work, pretending like he's working or something, I don't know, until 8 in the night, when he very well knew that he needed to be at work 6 o'clock the next morning. But he
Wow.
stayed to keep my company until afterwards. And he would sometimes take me home in Kingston, drive to Spanish Town, come to work 6 o'clock the next morning, leave during his lunchtime to come and pick me up at home to get me to work at 2, and then he continues working. So he made the time. And he was very intentional about it. And plus, yeah. So those were some little things that let me know that he was interested.
I mean, let's be real. Just to piggyback, the Bible says that God would come down the cool of the day, chill with Adam and Eve. The man know what he wants.
And let me ask you something, Mrs. Cuff. Did you have to ask him to do any of these things? Did you have to hint?
He volunteered his time. And I was very happy. I remember sometimes he would offer to drive me to Mandeville, where I am from. I did not need any company to come to Mandeville. I knew where Mandeville was. It was my hometown. He had no clue what Mandeville was about. And he would offer to drive me to Mandeville just to make sure it was okay. So no, I never had to be wondering or begging or pleading or, going down on my knees and trying to say, "Okay, Lord, make him look my way, please." No, not at all.
Yeah, he was burning that gas. Way to go, Brian.
Committed. He was committed. Okay.
Go ahead, babe. Share something, baby.
You know you're sleeping on the couch if you didn't ask that.
You know what you did. You know what you did.
I don't.
You really want me to answer? Okay. So when Sister Tanya was talking, like right before you mentioned
I'm
what
afraid
you
what you're gonna
what
say.
you did about the phone. No,
Okay.
it was our conversations. So we had this relationship and in our dating time where we'd want to be with each other every like all the time. When we weren't physically together, he would come to my house and spend the whole day, evening, eat everything, go home, and we'd as soon as he get home, we'd be on the phone. We'd be on the phone while he's ironing his clothes for church, talking. He would get into bed, I'd be in bed, and we just couldn't say goodbye. Like he'd fall asleep, be snoring in the phone. I'm like, Omar, hang up. And it's just that was our thing. And when you feel like that connection with the person, you always want to be with them. It was a given. I knew that he wanted to be with me because he just couldn't help himself.
I thought she was gonna mention because back in those days, I mean, we had the beepers. You know,
Oh,
you remember? So we
Oh,
had our little code, especially when I was playing
we
football.
did. We had a code.
Playing football in high school, and I went away to football camp, and and of course, we had to get up 6 o'clock in the morning and practice, and then our day was done like around like 11 o'clock in the night. So by the time we showered and went to our cabins and our rooms, I had to sneak out. I mean, I'm in like upstate New York in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And back in those, I don't even know we've got payphones anymore, telephone, so there was a payphone that was a half a mile. And I'm walking in
Yeah.
the woods. Like you
Yeah.
can hear like coyotes and stuff like that. And
mhm.
I can care. I didn't care. I, at the end of every practice for those 7 days, uh, there was a specific time that I'm going to get to the telephone. There's the number. So it was a beep message. And then when I got to the booth, the phone rang. And it was just for 7 days we did that. So
Yeah.
I thought you was going to mention that. But
No,
Oh,
but that happened while in
Whipped.
the middle of everything else, and that
yeah,
was kind of our thing. We spent all our time together and talking and just sharing. And when you don't like somebody, you avoid that person. You're
yeah,
not trying to be in their space all the time and
yeah.
trying to spend that much time. So
Beepers,
that
man.
was it for us.
90s all
can
day.
can we clear up something real quick though? I saw that someone mentioned the Bishop Jones thing again. I
Yes.
just want to say we're not bashing
Yeah,
Bishop
let's get
Jones.
back to
Oh,
this.
not at all.
We're not, we're not bashing Bishop Jones. The only reason I brought up Bishop Noel Jones, who I absolutely love and adore, and he's one of my favorite preachers on earth. And I
Amen.
actually watched the reality show that was very ratchet, but I watched the reality show that
For
he was
sure.
on, and I actually did see their relationship on the reality show. The only reason why I brought it up is because I wanted to show you that there are women that will wait, but in the waiting, there are sacrifices that are made. She is no longer at a childbearing years. Maybe she didn't want it for herself. That's fine. But there's certain things that women want for themselves. They want to have children. They want to have so and so. And if you see that the wait is that long, that you probably are going to miss your childbearing years, or you're going to miss certain opportunities to do certain things, then you might have to reevaluate what it is in your heart, what you really want. Okay, maybe
She's
this
at
is
that
what
pension bearing years though.
maybe this you are so bad. Maybe this is what they
She
want,
got
and
that
yes,
Noel Jones
we
ministry.
will we will pray
Mhm.
for them. But the reason I brought him up is not bashing their relationship. God bless them, but every woman does not have that patience, and every
Right.
woman does not have to wait that long.
When you wait
Right.
that long, you gotta know. So
Your
it's,
Yeah,
expectations are different.
there
Your
ain't no way.
expectations are totally different in that scenario, and it's a special dynamic to that relationship that everyone just doesn't have.
Well, bro, 72 years old. Never mind.
And
he
then
said he
here's
said
another deal. Like you're just getting engaged at 72.
Bro,
Like you don't even
y'all
know
gotta
when they're
watch the
getting married.
audience. Y'all gotta watch the engagement. It's
but he was
pretty.
married before too. So he had
Was
his
she?
I don't know about her.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
I
know
don't
about
know either.
her. I know he was married before, and he had whatever he speaks about it openly about whatever it was that broke his marriage up. So maybe he had a lot of healing to do, but she's a patient woman. That was my point. She's a patient woman, and
But
Absolutely.
and the reason why I mention that is because he said a lot in regards to what that moment, what he was about to do. So,
yeah.
and that's why I said it's only fitting just to watch it so people can understand. Like, all right, you're 50 something years old, you're 72 on your birthday, like
Yeah.
you've been dating for 20 something years. You gotta educate yourself and see why.
He also said he wanted someone to push his wheelchair. But okay, we ain't gotta talk about that.
Next question. Next question. Which one we asking?
Where are we? You got us
Well,
confused now.
it's your fault.
All right, number 15. Go ahead.
All right.
Oh, that's my hero.
Word. What would you say to encourage young single women in the church who feel that there are no options of good Christian men to date? As in, good men aren't in the church or aren't even interested in dating church girls.
My God.
On tonight.
Lawami, you're it.
That's offensive.
Oh, we'll put you in B
He
flat.
hurt.
Take
Oh,
it.
That is offensive. There are some options out there. I will say that I don't know if I can answer this, but I will say that what God has for you is for you. And in the meantime, as you wait, again, let not the pursuit of marriage become an idol for you. You weren't made to pursue marriage. You were made to pursue God. And everything else falls under that. But when whatever God has for you, and I'm so encouraged, and let me just say a word of encouragement here. This, in the last 12 months, I have seen personal friends of mine. Oh Lord, I hope they're not watching, but there have been some personal friends of mine who, on the rail, y'all, like I said, literally, I said, they ain't never gonna make it. Like they are never gonna get married. Man, they have been getting engaged like you would not believe, and that's been very encouraging for me. Not for my sake, because that's not an issue, but for a lot of the women out there that are going, there's no way, there's no men in the church, and listen. When God gets ready to give you your blessing, it's going to be the suddenlies of God. And suddenly there came a sound. Suddenly, the suddenlies of God are just, they'll blow your mind in ways that you don't even can't even imagine. So what I would say is, man, you've got to have enough faith that God orders the steps of a good man. The steps of a good man are ordered by Jehovah, and He delights in His way. And that no good thing will He withhold from them that trust Him. And you've got to believe that when it's your turn, and God's going to see that through.
I want to raise 2 points. From before I was married and from I was young growing up, I've been hearing that there are few good men in the church. It's either they're taken, they're married, or they're gay, whatever. There's so many things. And just like Luami, I was offended. And on 2 points, I used to find some of these females, and I used to look at them and ask them, you're looking for a good man, you're looking for a real man, but are you a lady? Are you a woman? Are you looking into who you ought to be before you're looking for somebody else to make you complete? So that's 1 point. I won't say a lot because I don't want the ladies to come for me, but there are ladies who are so focused on finding this good man that they're not being good women. They're not being ladies. They're not being virtuous women, as the Bible would say. And then secondly, brothers. There are a lot of brothers out there that need to step, not even their game up, but step up to being the man God wants them to be. Yeah? There are a lot of brothers that we are so narrow-minded, and we've lost our focus, and we've lost our way, where we need to look to God. As Luami said, it's not about marriage. The goal isn't marriage. The goal is being who God wants you to be. And we get so caught up in he made mention of engaged here. I know some of us brothers used to go to different churches for crusades, and we're there praising the Lord, but we weren't praising the Lord. We were looking at the sisters praising the Lord to see who can praise us. Yeah, who can make us feel good. So the brothers, yeah, we need to step up, man. We need to step up. A lot
He's
of us,
got a point.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of us went to Simply Jesus back in the day.
Ha!
It was,
That's the truth.
you feel what I'm saying? Now we used to go, leave Thanksgiving, sacrifice the big Thanksgiving
Thanksgiving
meal, get on a coach bus and
Yo,
roll
for
down to
real.
Gaithersburg, bro. It wasn't just
Oh
Jesus.
my
It was
goodness.
simply
That's
Jesus
back
and
when
something else.
I used to wear a 4-button suit, polyester suit with a.
What you know about Portabella?
You buy a suit, get like 6 free socks.
Stacey Adams shoes.
Stacey Adams shoes, rocking it.
My bad.
Enough.
All right. Sorry, man.
Lord have mercy.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
All right, so all those single brothers that are on here, listen out. Step up. Listen to Brother Cuff. Step up your game. Because I'm gonna tell you, growing up in the church, there were always more female to male. The ratio was never
Yeah.
50-50. It was always off.
That's
But
just the world in general.
nonetheless, there were a lot. The single
It's
guys.
worse, but it's
stayed
worse in the
single.
church.
So,
It's
Mhm,
worse
Yeah,
in the church.
absolutely.
Yeah, you're right.
And there were some single guys that stayed single, and I'm going to tell you, there were a few men who were not marketable until they met that person. And I remember one particular individual, I'm going to tell you, he wasn't on anybody's radar but this one individual. And after he got married, he got noticed by everybody because that union just brought out something. So sometimes the ladies, it's not that they're not there, but you're not seeing them because maybe they don't meet certain criteria until they met the right one. So
say his name.
My God.
I'm not
I'm
gonna
not-
go there.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
some of our brothers need to realize that. I've heard she intimidates me. I'm not up to her level. She I can't get to her. No, man, come on. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But most
My.
some development. Yeah, go develop yourself. Go focus on being the man who God wants you to be, and then.
That's it. Because at the end of the day, you want to be compatible. What you're praying about, what you're desiring, what you want to make sure that it all fits. You can't pray, God send me the best woman, the best wife, if you ain't the best man.
Yeah, don't go looking
Okay,
for
so
Bob
serious-
if you ain't no kin.
While you're waiting, ask God to prepare you. If it's financially,
Yeah.
mature,
Yeah.
fix
Mhm,
me.
mhm.
Let
Yeah.
me, so that what I'm
Yeah.
praying about at that expected time, I'm prepared to receive. Less what I'm praying about, I'm desiring it to be a blessing, but if I can't handle it, then it's gonna be my downfall.
So
Boy,
I have
I
a
got
couple
back in the
questions
gym.
about that.
The woman that God
Go
has in
back in the
store for me.
Do them bench presses, boy.
Woo!
Better let
I
me
need
know.
a-
But I have a question.
Go ahead.
Because my question then would be, for these men that are saying, do men really talk like that? Do men really say, "Oh, she's not in my league"? Okay, you
Yeah.
men on here, have you men said she's not on my league? Go for what you want, or try to get to what you think her league is. You try.
I don't think anybody says it. I think everybody
Right.
knows it, or everybody thinks it.
Men.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
And
is
even if it's
Tanya.
unconsciously, I think everybody judges everyone else, appraises.
Yeah.
Everyone appraises everyone else and says, "Nah, that's not like I'm at a different. And you know what? And we say all of that. We say that like don't about leagues and stuff. But as soon as somebody marries somebody else, we always go, "Oh, she married beneath her, or he married above him." So even if we don't say it, I think we all have a sense of who's in my league, who's not.
Yeah.
Whether that's right or wrong, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I think naturally we just all kind of we all
Yeah.
have
You
a
know,
sense of self. What is my worth? And then we determine someone else's value
That's what you
by our
value
own.
us too.
yeah. I think Sean made it plain in the comments when he said, sometimes you think that she's high maintenance and you know you can't afford it. That's the simplest way
Yo,
to put it.
listen,
You ain't
that
ever,
is so
You're killing
true.
me.
okay. Thank you,
Yo,
Brother
can I
Sean, for
say
making that
this?
plain, because I
Say
was just
it.
gonna
Say it,
say,
Luami.
No, that is so true. Okay, I'm gonna say this. There was
Say
a girl
it.
like in like 2015 or 16, somewhere in there. There was a girl that I thought was beautiful, and she also she was into me and all that, and I could not do it. And the reason I could not do it, if I'm being honest, is because I didn't feel like I was financially capable of entering into a relationship with her.
Mm.
She just came from money. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And it made me feel some type of way. And even if I would have I never admitted that to her, and I think I didn't want to really admit that to anybody else. Like I just looked for ways to get out. Like, no, 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 this is not it. But she just had that aura about her that, yo, you're you better be legit
Bro,
when you come into this. And
when
I just knew like uh I can be a spiritual priest, but
but
I ain't buying you that Louis.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. When I was interested in Basilia, a lot of guys, everybody believed that she would get married to either a gospel artist or a pastor or a bishop because she's a media personality. She's a gospel MC and she's big in the gospel fraternity. And they were like, they saw me as her security guard or her driver. Yeah. And some of them would come to me and say, boy, can't manage that, she's gold. Yeah, let's be real. And I'm different. And Tanya asked the question if you guys would go for what you want. I would.
Mhm.
There were moments when I felt like, boy, Brian, you have to have this because of the pressures that they would put on me, not even putting pressure on myself. But then I realized I'm cut from a different cloth.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hello.
I would tell them they would say she don't want average Joe, but look at me,
But you're
Jamaica.
my
We would
Joe.
say I'm Joe grind, right? In Jamaica we would say that, right? But yeah, the truth is there are pressures to be the one who can make her financially happy and financially stable, and you need to be this before you can help her to get to that. So it happens, but you as a man, you have to know who you are.
But doesn't only happen to men, it happens to some of us women as well, because I'm a pastor's daughter. So, I grew up in church. And, when I started to get into adulthood, you start hearing the talks, I think this bishop's son from Canada, I think he likes you.
Average over here, right?
Yeah.
Average over here, be like.
I remember when I got into my 20s, I remember somebody saying to me, somebody who, I love and still have in high regard, saying, I think I can find a husband for you in Canada, a bishop's son. And I'm like, all right. And then I would hear another talk of, the you have to keep the marriage, you have to keep the like they would say, you have to keep the relationships in the, I don't remember the word that they use, but it's almost as if a pastor's daughter is supposed to marry to a pastor's son.
Living in the fraternity.
Yes, you see, you're keeping it up there,
Mhm.
And I found it very strange, to be honest with you, because I'm quite used to that kind of talk, because obviously I had just got into the age of, I guess, being eligible to be married.
Mhm.
And then I remember when Brian and I got engaged, people literally said, so you're married to somebody who is not, they don't any, they're not in the public's eye, they're not a musician, they're not a minister. And
They
I'm
have
like,
no talent.
he is so many other things. Thank you very much. Well, anyway, but the pressure is on us too, especially for those of us who grew up in church and our pastors' daughters, there is this arrangement trying to take place. They're just trying to keep it in the family, I guess. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you just have to know what it is that you want.
There's something about that category, especially when you go to Bible college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the truth is, pastors' kids knows, we know that
But
it ain't nothing.
Father God.
Yeah,
Amen. Now, that's all I'll say.
yeah. We're sitting here like, I don't want that.
Right.
No.
Yes, ma'am.
Singers know too.
No, thank you.
I'm a musician. What?
Like, no,
there's another side of this too, because I think innately you realize what your levels are. For example, there was a pastor out in Illinois who invited me over for the specific, and I only knew this afterwards, but he only invited me to preach because there was someone at his church who was interested.
Come on now.
That
I mean,
happens.
now,
Wait, he sent an invitation for you to preach
Mhm.
for one particular person?
Signing
for
that.
one particular person, but let me just say this, that one particular person was an only child with parents who were like multi-millionaires. Like,
Okay.
yeah, like that, the type where, let me explain. When I got there, he began to talk to me about this person. And I'm like, okay. We were driving, and he said, by the way, we're driving on her parents' property. And it was like a public street. So I'm like, what do you mean he's like, yeah, like back like 10 miles, that's when the property started.
Wow.
This is all theirs. And he was like, she's an only child. You'll never have to work a day in your life.
Blessed.
That's what he told. But you know what? Think about that. Think about what a real man. I mean,
Yeah.
I know I joke around like, you want a sugar mama to, come take care of you. But man, when the rubber meets the road and that stuff starts challenging your manhood, I just couldn't do it. The more he talked, the more it was turning me off.
I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you, did it not turn you off?
Yes, because especially when your boy was like, bro, this is not, I'm not being spiritual or anything. This is just man to man. I'm just letting you know right now, like, you'll never have to work a day in your life. He was like, let me tell you something. We had a sacrificial, whatever it was, Sunday or offering it. And he was like, and she paid off our whole mortgage at our church. And he was like, and you don't have to, you know what I'm saying? And I was just like, yo, what? You start thinking like, oh my goodness. And I remember, y'all, I'm gonna throw my dad under the bus real quick. I remember calling my father that night from the hotel and explaining to him the whole situation, right? I was like, it was a Saturday night, and I was going to meet her for the first time that Sunday. And I called my dad up, and I'm like, Dad, this is the deal. And he kind of brought me out because she showed interest in me and all this. And my father was like, and I was like, but no, I can't. I don't love. My dad was like, boy, don't be stupid. You better jump on that. This is the Lord's will. I'm like, Father, I don't even know who that is. Like, it doesn't matter. God knows you've suffered enough.
Yes, sir. Come on, Dad.
Oh man, but I just could not do it. I could not do it. You ultimately, I feel like I'm too much of a man to not feel like I want to care for my bride. I want to provide. I want to protect. I want, the thought that I'd be back there kind of letting her take care of me, that I don't know. I just can't personally. I just couldn't do it. I'm just throwing another perspective.
She'll call you son.
Wow.
Oh,
Yo,
Oh, that's crazy.
that is something. That is
mhm.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's out there, Tanya. I
It's
mean,
real.
it's,
It's
can you
real.
It
imagine? I mean,
exists.
you
Yeah.
evangelize. How long you been evangelizing for, Lo?
Since 97, 98.
Wow.
So what's
And
that? Like almost 25 years.
yeah.
Is this
Yeah, I
person
started when I was
relate
5.
is this person related to the woman he was trying to hook you up with?
No.
So, but this person goes to this man's church,
Yeah.
is a member. So she is his mortgage payment. Okay, that's too much. I think that's too much. That was
Absolutely.
She went to the pastor and told him that I guess somehow she had heard of me or and that she was interested. And if he could help broker, a meeting and all that.
But
And so that's
what does that what does he think about you for him to be bringing up all that information to you? Like, are you money hungry? Are you what do
no,
you
I
think
don't
that
think he came at it that he's a good
Okay.
friend.
Yeah, he's
He's a
genuinely
good
looking
friend.
out. Genuinely
Yeah, he was
Okay.
looking
looking
out.
out for me.
Okay.
He was more like
Okay. I thought it
yeah,
was just a random
like a
pastor.
random. No,
Oh,
no, no, no.
oh,
It was a friend
oh.
of mine, and he was more like on the side, on the low. He was more like, I'm not even supposed to let you know this, but I'm gonna let you know up front. This is the real deal. And so he was like, bro, do it. Like you need to do this.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Wow.
All right, guys, man, this has been really dope tonight, but we got one more question that we got to ask the panelists before we get out of here tonight. All right. My boyfriend always tells me,
Said that man is a pimp.
my
He
boyfriend
was looking
always
out.
tells me he sees a future with me, and I love him because he's attractive, he is very ambitious, and has a great financial security. But sometimes he hurts my feelings. In some conversations, he responds as if I'm dumb and will say things like, I don't know what I'm talking about, and that I should just listen or follow him. We have a great time together, and the love and connection are definitely there. But when there's any disagreement, he gets so hurtful.
That ain't love.
Is that something that I should get better? Is that something that should get better? And can I love him through that?
Ooh.
Him not love you.
That ain't love.
Thank you.
That ain't love.
That's not love. That oh Lord is the
That's
whole
the shortest.
arena of red flags.
Yeah.
Throw the whole man away. No, he doesn't love you because especially if we go back to the definition of what love is.
Yeah.
Because even Christians, non-Christians, everybody uses the Bible's definition of what love is and what love's supposed to be. And love is not hurtful.
Nope.
Love isn't, oh, we're just having a good time and then he gets hurtful in every conversation. That is not love. And one of the things I don't understand with women is it's almost as if we feel like it is our purpose here on this earth to love through hurt and love through pain and stick it out. It's almost as if some women don't believe that they can truly be loved. Maybe it's a case where they haven't been socialized that way. Maybe it's a case where they've never really experienced what true love is. But that is not love, I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm gonna want to hear what Tanya says before
Yes,
I
man,
get biblical.
Tanya, is you first.
No,
I want
no,
to.
I'm gonna get biblical. I'm gonna be controversial with this one.
Really?
Go ahead first,
All
I'm
right, so
eating my chips. I'm eating my chips.
time to go.
No, okay. There's so much to unpack here. There's so much to unpack here. You know what frightened me? The first thing she said, and I'm almost proving Luwami's point here, why she loves him is because he's attractive. That was number one. That was number one in her list. Is that he's attractive. He's very ambitious, and he has great financial security. That's why you love him. Red flag. Put up your red flag because
You need to add some more things to the list.
Luam, you need to say that in
You
Spanish.
understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And then so what you're telling me now is based on he's mean. He's not
Yeah.
kind.
Right.
Not
Right.
kind.
The way he speaks to you, he's not kind.
Hmm.
But you love that he's attractive, financially stable, and ambitious, which only has to do with maybe financial as well. And he's mean.
No, no.
Your what you want, your priorities are not straight.
It says a
Yeah.
lot about her.
Yeah,
And
your
maybe
pri-
that's why she has found herself in that situation, because
Yeah,
her priorities off the bat are not straight. And so,
right off the bat.
no, in this case, she probably needs a proper list. Yes. She probably needs help with a list.
Call Mrs. Cuff, make her get you a list.
Sister Tanya, Sister
Yes, darling.
Basilia. Let me get controversial.
Yeah.
So let me just get straight out the bat. Isn't what we as a bride, the bride of Christ, do to Christ sometimes some of these things, but he sticks with us. He stays with us. He loves us through the pain, through the heartache. He loves us even when we cheat on him. Every single
Yeah.
time.
It's a
I'm
boyfriend.
not that though.
I'm
This
asking.
is a boyfriend. It's not a husband. It's not
Oh,
a
is that our
friend.
husband?
It's a boyfriend.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Different.
It's
Okay.
a boyfriend.
Okay.
It's a boyfriend. It's a boyfriend. And you know what else? He calls. He's called. You're dumb. What do you mean dumb? As if you're dumb. As if
boyfriend?
as if what you think doesn't matter.
Lord
As
have
if your
mercy.
feelings don't matter. I'm gonna share you a
You can
story.
be no
My husband. I'm gonna ask him to forgive me.
I'd never call you dumb, girl.
You okay?
check your message. Check your message, mommy.
And then you
Give
should
me
just-
this. Who is this?
You need
Who
to,
is
and
this
you
question?
need to tell me. You need to tell me that I need to listen to you. I need to listen to you. Be a leader that I listen to you. Be a leader that I just continue to
Yeah.
follow you.
There's
A
no
man that
respect.
has to beat his chest and say I'm a man is not a man.
Yeah. And let me just clear up for Brian. Brian is not saying that when you are married, it's okay. You must stick it out
No,
either.
but I would love for you guys to answer for somebody who is in a relationship who may be married and feeling the same way.
Well,
Maybe-
I want to tell a
Go
story.
ahead, Tanya.
So when I married my husband, right? And forgive me, husband, I love you so much. I know you're on the line, but you know we go through things for people.
Yeah.
When I married my husband, he was a kind man, caring and thoughtful. His words were sharp.
Mm.
His words were sharp and actually borderline mean. But then I saw how he related to a lot of people around him that accepted that behavior. And I said, and I understood that is sometimes he used to call names. He used to do this name calling thing. And I remember one time listening to him talk to his siblings, and they were playing and calling each other idiot and names. And I said, oh, okay, that's where you get it from. Look here, let me tell you something. I am not your sibling. Okay? That's not a term. Idiot is not a term of endearment for me. Don't do that with me.
Right.
If that's how you're going to do what you're, because sometimes they just need redirection,
Yeah.
right? Maybe this is all they know. I'll accept that. But the basis of who he was kind and sweet, caring, not just with words, with his actions. His words just needed to be, he just needed to understand that I was not going for that. And that changed. Just because he knew I do not want to be called names, right? And it was in a loving way. I don't want it and I don't like it, right?
Did your husband grow up in New York?
Jamaica. What?
No.
Jamaica. Where
Same
the
difference.
fatty boom boom. Jamaica. Where that's not
Daddy.
acceptable in America. Okay? So there's certain things that you just have to kind of adjust. Now, if he's mean off the bat, there's a lot of red flags in this. I'm going to stop talking because there's a lot of red flags in here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of red flags in here. A lot of red flags. Priorities are not straight. And based off of what you're saying in your question, you have a great time together. Okay, that's great. I write these questions down because I don't want to miss anything, right? But when I don't agree with him is when he starts to get mean, When I don't agree with him is when he starts to say, make me feel as though I'm dumb.
Sounds like a narcissist.
Okay, and they are in the church. Please believe it.
Yep.
You brought up a good point though, because I was thinking about this I think even today I was thinking about this, that I grew up in public schools in New York City. And you have to have a tough skin. And then I grew up with two sisters who suffered the brunt of, that's just the way. That to me was endearment. We capped on each other. That was endearment to me. That was, the more I cap on you, the more I'm telling you I love you. There's enough of a trust factor there that I'm even able to do this and we can laugh at it. So that's affection. And but at the core of who I am, I'm actually a teddy bear. But as far as culturally speaking, that's just the way you grow up. You grew up, people saw you from afar and calling you names. Even the nicknames we called each other, like, yo, black, yo, this, yo, that's just the way you grew up. So you bring up a really good point that there's got to be communication and then a differentiation between whether someone is actually mean-spirited or whether this is somebody's culture or lingo or, whatever. And I'm glad you made that differentiation. And I remember, that was one of the issues when I first got married, was my wife was from Hawaii and she was a really kind, sweet, just always and so she couldn't get used to the fact that I was always capping on everybody. But I cap on people from the pulpit. Like, that's just my, and then I expect, if I cap on you, I don't expect you to cry. I expect you to cap right back.
Right.
Because to me, that's just the way we're communicating love. And it was something that we both had to communicate at one point and say, hey, listen, that's not how I grew up. So don't do it. She had to tell me that. That's not how I grew up. And I don't think it's right. I don't find it attractive. And please don't do it. And honestly, that's the first time I got checked, where I was like, oh,
Wow.
wait, maybe this is wrong. And so that, but this question here doesn't seem to me like that's it. This question here, the dude is just straight mean.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Run, my girl, run.
Here's a bonus question for the wives. You ready? To the wives, they say men have a high sex drive, but they underestimated the power of a woman in heat. How do I get my husband to meet my expectations sexually?
Tell him.
Communication.
Tell him. And blend up some things. Help the process along the way. Let me tell you.
Don't be afraid to lead.
Yeah, I think sometimes as women, we are maybe afraid to, we're afraid to express when it is that, we may want it more often than the man. I remember when I was pregnant, oh my father, me with my big belly, I was rolling.
And I was afraid. I was like, that's my baby right here.
My husband was so afraid to touch, especially with our first daughter. By the second daughter, he got the point, right? But with the first daughter, he was like so afraid. And I don't know what it is when I was pregnant. I just wanted it every single moment of the day. And I'm like, Father God, even when I was pregnant right before I had baby, and I had to say it to him. I was gonna sit there and burn in my flesh. That's not why I got married. Hell, yeah. I had to say it to him. I had to communicate it to him and say to him that, I'm kind of feeling a little extra thing, my body.
That's not how you say it.
That's not how I said it. Right? But I think communication.
Babe, what's happening, babe? And I'm like,
Oh my
About to break
God.
it every minute, girl.
And I'm like, break it, baby, break it. That's okay.
Mrs. Cuff.
Break it. Break what?
Let's
What are we
break what?
talking about?
You talking about
But
break?
anyway,
What you mean? Oh
water
God.
was pregnant.
Oh.
So, but I
What baby hit?
After dark, LaShawn, yeah.
had to.
I am going to lose my license.
We, as women, we have to communicate. So we have to communicate. And maybe
Oh my
I've heard this from men before. Maybe it's the fact that they don't want to pressure their wives, not knowing that, their wives actually want it as much. Maybe that may be the case, that may not be the case. But on either side, if one person's appetite is more than the other, I think you need to talk about it. It makes no sense to keep it to yourself and go take a shower.
Girl, your mother is listening. See that?
Oh, my mom. That's my mom right there. Winston Barnaby listening for Cayman. My mother knows me. She was the first person who showed me certain things to do when I got
Come
married.
on,
Lord
mama.
have mercy,
Come
mother.
on,
Mom.
Mama.
My mother is so radical. It's not funny. On my honeymoon night, I
Is your
called my
mom
mother.
single?
All right, Tanya, over to you. Tanya, over to you. Tanya, your turn. Time's up. We gotta go. Time's up. Tanya, over to you.
Mama's on fire.
But anyway, yes, bottom line, we need to talk, and we need more mothers like mine. Yeah?
Oh,
Thank you.
snap.
My mother was just like that. It was so bad. I didn't even want to know nothing about sex. I didn't.
I
know.
want to
My mom
know.
was,
I didn't want to know.
no,
I
no,
didn't
but
see you.
my mom was so. Oh God, she was so detailed, and I was young, and she never kept it from me. My mom would say, "Tanya, I'm not going to lie to you. Sex is very good. Don't make them tell you sex is not. Sex is excellent, very, but you have to wait." She never lied about sex with me.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that. And I was never tempted to want it because I just thought my mom's telling me this. That's so gross. I don't even want it. She
Yeah.
probably used reverse psychology actually, but it was great.
Yeah.
My cousins told me to keep my mic muted. They don't want me to talk on this subject. So
Why?
Because they think I'm gross.
Do
I'm
that,
very
Katie.
real.
Denise.
I'm very real with the kids. I'm very real with my little cousins. I'm very real with them.
Talk,
right?
cuz. Talk.
Yeah. Sex drive. Maybe they just don't know how to do this role reversal thing, because maybe at one point he was the one with the high sex drive, and maybe she, okay, I'm a mom. I'm gonna be real. There was a time in my life where sex was not a priority. I had kids. I had young kids. Luami, wait.
No.
No, listen.
But it's true. It's true.
I'm being real. But you see, you're speaking from a man's perspective. I'm speaking from a woman's perspective who's just had a kid, who may not have felt as sexy as I thought I was, who is breastfeeding and, milk comes out whenever you're stimulated. That's not cute, right? Who's out.
Sure ain't. Ain't there.
Look, I'm trying to keep a straight face, man.
It ain't cute though.
It's
Just
not
scream.
cute. And then
Oh.
you have housekeeping on your mind. You have all these things on your mind that you get to bed and you're actually exhausted. So no, at a point in my life, it was not priority. And I'm sure there are many times I said to my husband, "God, I love you, but me tired, right?" So sometimes they get so comfortable, in that. And then all of a sudden, when we change, it's like, "Oh my God, I want it." They're like, "All right, is this a joke? Are you being for real? Is this for real? Is it? No, it's for real. Come on, let's go." You know what I'm saying? But it takes a minute for you to get conditioned to that role reversal, right? Where it's now her turn, right? I just want to be honest. Because I think people think when you get married, you're going to have sex all the time. No. It's not. That's not the truth, which is why there has to be more to marriage than sex, because things happen, life happens, diseases happen, so diabetes, it depends on how bad it is. Sometimes a friend not work. It's just what it is, right? And what do? You just bounce, you leave? What do you do? Right? There has to be some. There has to.
Blue pill.
I'm not even gonna lie. I gotta tell you, my uncle told my.
Oh no! Wait! We need to hear this.
My uncle told my husband My uncle told my husband, when you get the vaccine, you must get Pfizer. And my husband said, why am I getting Pfizer? My uncle said, you know what Pfizer make? Pfizer make the blue pill, baby. Get the
Oh,
Pfizer.
wow.
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 You know what I'm saying? But no.
Whoever got that Johnson
That
and Johnson, I
explains
feel
it.
sorry for you.
Sorry, get on that. Get on
Got
that.
that baby shot.
But you need to be honest, because there's not every time, there's not going to
Oh.
be consistent sex every time during your marriage. Things happen. And that is why can I say this on this church chat?
Talk.
That's why husbands and wives, while you have the chance to blow the back out, do it. Because there's going to come a time when you
it's
have
not
to
going to
hang on,
happen,
and
there
when you
you
have
go.
to kind of hang on to the memory, because things are happening in life.
Amen,
And
sister.
life happens, but it will come
Glory.
again.
It
will
will
come again. Sorry, Luwami, I don't want you to get your license taken away. It will
Too
happen
late.
again. There are seasons, right? But she's talking about her season, right? She's talking about her season. I want to know, what is he obliging? Like, is he giving her what she wants? Is that what she's saying in the question, or she's not getting what she wants?
Or maybe she's not getting it.
How do I get my husband to meet my expectations sexually? And I think you just said it, Tanya. I don't know if you need to say anything
Talk
else.
to him and talk to him.
tell him.
And I'm going to say this too. This is going to be a little too more real too. Some men don't even want to listen. Some men don't want to listen. She wants something a certain way, and you think because you did it great last week, that's going to work today. No, it's not going to work. It's the world. Women are different. Men, you can be consistent, and they kind of, you kind of go with it. What works for them works. Women, you can do one thing yesterday and do something again today, and it not gonna work. So when a woman is telling you something that she wants, when a woman's telling you something that she wants, just listen to her. Don't think she's trying to downgrade your ego or anything like that. She's just telling you where you are right now. That's good. Stay right there.
Yes.
Listen.
Now ask a question a little off topic. Is it true? Is it true that when you don't use it, you lose it?
Use what?
It's after 10 o'clock. It's like the after dark session.
Explain a little bit more so we can be clear. Communicate the question.
No, I don't want to explain it.
Mrs. Cuff, we don't want to make it clear.
I would say yes.
I just feel like I need to go back to
lose it.
No, I would say yes. I don't think you lose it. You learn to live without. I don't think you lose it. You just kind of, when I don't have carbs for a long time, I don't crave it. Right? When I don't have carbs for a long time, my body does not crave it. But the minute I put a piece of bread in my mouth, a bread I want all weekend,
Oh yes, glory.
Okay.
Amen. But it's true though, because when my husband and I lived apart for the 3 years, like
y'all, I need a revival.
No, it's true. When my husband and I lived apart, yeah, I didn't. I mean, it wasn't something that I wanted all the time anymore because I wasn't getting it often. So it wasn't something that I yearned for. But then when we got back together and then the pandemic hit, I was like, hallelujah, something good came out of COVID. Glory, can't get enough. Amen. Jesus. So just like what Tanya said, you just need a little bit taste of, you just need to taste up your mouth, like a baby. Like a baby who has never had a little bit of curry chicken. You just need to taste up your mouth again and you're good to go. But yeah, I think that for us as women, especially because we're emotional beings, when that doesn't happen consistently for a while, it's almost as if, okay, we can live without it. We can do, But, once we get back into it and our emotions, most importantly, get back into it. Oh, Father, they got to run, baby.
Yeah. And you know what, Pastor Jolly, let me commend you guys, honestly, for having this real conversation. No, for having this conversation.
I'm trying to get saved, Lo. I thought I wasn't gonna have a church.
I thought that
let her bring me back. Can she restore me, please? Restore me, sis.
You
Just
know
give
what?
me some
What's
hope.
amazing? I'm watching the numbers on Facebook, and I just love how the numbers are going up. So we start talking about
Give
sex.
me,
And
give me
Yeah,
some hope.
people be messaging each other. You need to get on the live
I'm
now.
You
telling
know,
you,
I
I'm
just want to
telling
know
you.
if I still got a ministry. That's all I want.
But the truth is, no, the truth is that these conversations are necessary. Necessary. Forums like this is necessary because you have to be honest with the people. You have to be honest with the people and let them know, because like Mrs. Cuff said, you see these things on Facebook, all these lovey-dovey couples taking pictures in the park, and they haven't slept together in 3 weeks. And you're
Yep.
watching them take these pictures, and you're, oh my God, I want that. Oh my God, she must be just, oh God. And the husband's looking at her like, yeah, that's a great picture, but I ain't seen that body in a month.
Lord have mercy. That
And
is
it's the
true.
It's the truth, and you have to
No,
speak
it
and
is
be.
true.
You have to speak and be honest, and you got to warn people. It's necessary to have this conversation, and I appreciate you guys for having.
I'm sorry. I'm done. Done.
But you got to be
Oh,
true. Be truthful, and you know what? As married couples, and as someone who was married before Luami, I think we have a responsibility, because I think we have a responsibility to tell the truth. I think we have a responsibility as married people, especially when you're happy, to be honest. This is why I'm so weary of people posting stuff
yes.
on Facebook when they're always
Yes.
happy. If you're going to keep posting happiness on Facebook, then post when you argued.
Right.
Post when you had an issue. Stop giving this false sense of oh, marriage is all happy and bells and whistles. No, if you're going to be honest about your life on Facebook, like you say, then post the hard times. Post when
I,
you're having issues.
Yeah.
and then, now, I think that these are taboo subjects, so it makes us a little uncomfortable. But the truth of the matter is, this is not just like social issues. These are spiritual issues. You know, Paul
Yeah.
says that the wife does not have authority over her own body, but she yields it to her husband. And in like manner, her husband yields his body to his wife. And he says, do not deprive each other
Mm-hmm.
except by mutual consent.
Correct.
I don't know what that meant. What, so and even the mutual consent was for a small period of time devoted to prayer. I don't know if it was prayer or fasting, but it was just devoted for that season. If
Mm-hmm.
that's it, but if there's no prayer or fasting going on or a season, you're commanded not to deprive
And that's
each
a
other.
topic all in itself.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
So
Because we've prayed, and my husband and I have prayed and fast, and we said, okay, so we're going to connect still with that. But I think, isn't that a decision that you make as a couple?
yeah, in your marriage, that's
Yeah.
you do that.
Yeah.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
All of a sudden, we
word.
just got
It
quiet
got
now.
silent.
Just
It got
get
silent.
quiet.
It got silent.
Somebody said, "I yield."
We need to give the benediction. We need to get out of here. This living room is hot tonight.
Mm-hmm.
An amazing audience with their comments, man. This has been rich tonight.
Yes.
Listen, guys. I appreciate your time. First of all, to the Cuffs, thank you so much for being in the living room all the way from the island of Jamaica. Y'all stay warm out there, all right? I know that
Thank
won't be a
you.
struggle for you
Pastor,
guys.
thanks for having us.
Appreciate you guys so much. Listen, family, audience, you need to connect with the Cuffs on social media. Go follow their Instagram. Why don't you give a shout it out real quick to the Cuffs? Talk about your IG page, YouTube channel, all of that real quick.
All right, so you can find us on YouTube at Stuff from the Cuffs, where we keep it real. Yes, we go by the mantra, we give you fire, fun, inspiration, we're real, and we're education. And we talk about a lot of sex.
But we can't say that word on YouTube. We
Yeah,
gotta say coloring.
so we always say coloring. So we talk about the coloring book and how you use it. Right. Anyway, go over and watch our YouTube videos, because we think it's so necessary, especially in church, to talk about these things. And so we commend you, Pastor. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok at Basilia B. Cuff, and Twitter as well. And Brian is on Instagram as Valiant Cufflinks, and on TikTok as BMC Valiant. And we also have a couples page on TikTok called Stuff from the Cuffs. So you can follow us.
Y'all are loaded on social media. Y'all are killing it, man. You guys, I mean, the energy you guys are bringing, the more importantly, this is the content in a needed time that you're
Yeah.
helping people and you're helping marriages, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much for sharing your time, and of course to the
Sister.
one and only. There's only one Tanya Lawrence, y'all. I'm telling
I
you
need
that.
to go follow her. Tanya,
Listen,
tell us your
talk real quick, Tanya. Just tell them about how to
Follow
follow
me.
you, how to connect with
Yeah,
you.
you can follow me on Homes with Tanya, because I am a realtor as well. So you can follow me at Homes with Tanya on Instagram. And I'm on Facebook as Tanya Moulton Lawrence. So feel free to follow me. You can ask me questions too. Sometimes last year, what I did, I don't know if y'all remember, is we had an after party and we really went into a deeper conversation after this because I don't hold back.
We did.
But
Remember that.
yeah, we sure did. But I enjoyed it. Cuss, you all please follow me. I enjoy you guys. Luami, always great. I love to see that you let down your hair a little bit today. It was amazing.
He looks worried though. You okay?
He needs
I'm
a
not
Oh, I'm
revival.
worried.
good. I am good.
Okay, good.
We're gonna pray for that revival. That revival's coming, bro.
I need it. I'll let you know now.
Luami, you better invite me to your wedding,
Mhm. When I let go of what I've been holding on to for all these years. Pop goes the weasel, because the weasel go pop.
All right, we're logging off like right now, family. Y'all are just loose right now.
Meet us
Low.
backstage.
Yo, my longtime brother and friend Lawami Diaz, man, you're a gift, man, and thank you for always keeping it real and just bringing your personality, to this. And everybody was just amazing too. The amazing First Lady Lisa, you're a gift. Appreciate you, baby.
Appreciate
I know
you.
she's got to get ready to go to work soon, and I appreciate the Sanctuary family, our team backstage that just allows us to do what we do on this platform. I
Don't
just saw
read the
that.
chat faster. Don't read the chat.
Sean,
Don't
man.
read the chat faster. Don't read it. Don't read it.
Listen, if this blessed you tonight, I want you to give to the work of the Lord, to what we're just trying to do all this month, and that's sharing, coming together and talking about real issues, relevant topics. I think all this month it's the elephant in the church when it's all said and
Yeah.
done, and it's our responsibility to address these things, because at the end of the day, we want to live meaningful lives, purpose-driven lives in our marriages, our relationships, our family, as individuals.
Mhm.
And we don't want to allow crisis to dictate, how we live and how we go about things. We want to be intentional, and so we pray and hope that this was a blessing to you, this time together. And thank you for sharing. Thank you for connecting with us. The 4 ways to give is below the screen. That information is at the bottom of the screen right now. That QR code at the top, the bottom right-hand corner. Take a picture of that with your mobile device, and that will direct you to our giving page. And we pray and hope that this was a blessing to you and that you can financially bless the kingdom of God if this just spoke volume to you. Next week, Tuesday, we're continuing week 3 with Love in the Living Room. And I want to tell you this topic real quick. The topic is enemies. I have to love them too. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be crazy in the living room next week, Tuesday at 7:30. It's easy to love people who you love back, but then there are times when it's not so easy to love. And the times you have been hurt and wronged in the world of cancel culture, how do we accept and love the people we don't agree with? So this is going to be a hot topic next week. The panelist Tanya Lawrence is going to be back with us. We've got Rigo and Risha Estrada back with us next week, y'all. That's going to be great. And of course, my big brother and friend, longtime friend, evangelist Mark Brown from Atlanta. It's going to be great. The panelist is going to be on fire, and you're going to be a part of that living room experience, because there's love in the living room, and we want you to be a part of it. It's late. We got to get out of here, y'all. Thank you so much for signing on, being a part of tonight. The panelists, again, we love you. Be blessed, stay well, stay safe. And to the Sanctuary family and to all our friends that are in the living room tonight, we hope to see you next week, Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. Stay connected to the Sanctuary. Visit our website, our social media platforms. We love you. We're praying for you. Till next time, we'll see you. Have a great night.